Oh, yeah, this is the time when we ramble on. Hey, it's Brian Campbell coming at you. I'm funky, not a junkie, but I know where to get it. Yeah, afternoon coffee for everybody. Hey, it's Wednesday, August 13th here, 2 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know. We're fluid on the time, but do we have the best intro in the damn game today? Chinchilla will tell you hell yeah, it's Campbell's Rambles here. I'm already slurring my words here. Great to see you all. We ramble. Thank you, Melcar. Uh, what do we got here? Yeah, Boss D. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it's so nice, Chin, right? I want to hear the same song twice. All right. That's what I'm doing right now. So take your shirt off, get fired up. Take your shirt off. What kind of show are we running here? All right. It is that time of the week where this man, this middle-aged gentleman with with the just four men die, talks in circles. You guys send in your questions, and then maybe we spread a little joy to each other. All right. Spread it across the bread. There we go. All right. BCX, Brian Campbell experience, still going right here. And Reggie is still the GOAT. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Jim Nance's nephew. Fired up to be here. I hope you guys are as well. It's UFC 319 Fight Week. Of course, we are 48 hours into the new era, the announcement at the beginning of 2026, UFC is now a Paramount partner, CBS Sports. So your boy BC, look, trying to embrace the positives here, and this is a very big positive in a lot of ways. So we'll see what that means for the future of our beloved cage fighting. But today we'll talk about a few different things from UFC 319 to Andre Ward calling out AJ. What are we doing here, folks? Wow. I'm interested to get your questions as always. The new era is upon us. I mean, that's the thing. I'm one of those people that generally, if you ask my wife or my therapist, resist change. But change is good. Change is also very good. Okay, changes. All right. I mean, what does this say? Dogs leave paw prints on your heart. Yeah, I mean they do, right? Afternoon coffee, the greatest pleasure a washed man could have besides cheap hair dye. All right, the BC intro will set you free. Thank you, Mark Andre Burial. Yep, it just kicks in. Your boy BC comes in your face. Whoa, that's no diddy on that one, folks. But shout out, of course, to the fellas over there at Head Change, great Nebraska jam band, Anthony, Jacob, all those guys for cooking up that intro for me. Intros in, BC in the chair. Time to show some flair. Time to get fired up. Anyone see Vince McMahon and that Hulk Hogan thing on Fox? Wow, the guy's back. He's like lucid now. What happened? You know what I mean? We'll see what's going on. A lot that I want to talk about, a lot that you guys are going to ask me about, probably. My man Luke Nocita in the house of the main card minute. Oh yeah. MK update, of course. No Friday show, but you already know tomorrow, August 14th, Thursday, 11 a.m. in the East. All right, Cuervo will be in the house when we do pregame preview 319 of the UFC Real Talk. In fact, like men do it. So do I have the lights too bright here? Do I look washed out or just washed? Really, that's your choice. But BC, LT, the LIL in Long Island zone, cup of coffee for the working man. Long Island zone, Matt Frivola of UFC lightweight fame. Big Mets fan, new father. So we're going to be fired up to check that out. Sandine is here, guys. Okay. All right. He's a veteran of our country. So salute him. Thank him. All right. Has he stolen any valor or just paid for? All right. No, enough of that, BC. All right. Watching while I mow for work. Hey, let's go. You a hard worker out there, Sandy. You got to get dirty. Keep that grab. I mean, free tans with that job, though. Okay. Free tans. And as Lazy Bet will tell you of Just Bleed Radio fame, shout out to the JBR guys. It's 2 p.m. Do you know where your orange bong is? By the way, that orange bong's name was Julius, named after the Fish song. Fantastic song, by the way. All right, there you go. There it is. Big Papa Key Papa in the house. All the friends are here. I mean, this is really what this is, right? Like it's loosely veiled as like a live sporting chat of some kind, but it's just a bunch of like-minded weirdos getting together and enjoying life. Aloha, BC, and any chance of interviewing Rocco Siffredi? Oh my God. I don't know. No chance. No chance. That's what you got. All right. But that man was in his own genre. Clearly a legend, clearly a superstar. Hope you're doing well on this August 13th of the 25s. I was away yesterday, took one of my sons on a on a college tour, dropped by a couple spots over there in Rhode Island, had a good time. Fun times. I mean, sad times though. You know, I gotta release the birds from the nest. I gotta let them go. You know, I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? We got the core four. It's one, you know, it's home team. We've been rocking this team for darn near 18 years. I don't want to break up the team, but you know, you gotta let them out of the nest. Apparently, that's what they tell me. But also, BCX update. Hope you guys checked out my interview with Moses Itauma that I teased during Monday's MK episode. That is up and live right now. That young man, big fight Saturday, and I was very impressed with how he carried himself in that interview. So check that out. And I know sometimes, Kegu, what do you got, Kegu? BC cares. Yeah, if don't nobody else care. All right. Me and Shakur, not Stevenson. I'm talking about Tupac, baby. All right. Oh man, I want an orange Julius in the worst way. Yeah, it does take me back to like being in the Danbury Mall at like age 13 and then in the early 90s. You know what I'm saying? All right. Let's what I'm saying about the BCX is I know some people enjoy when this old man rambles on, but you also like to get yourself inside the box. Special start time this Friday. There will be no MK. So in the damn MK hole, we're going to get inside that box Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. B Sizzle, Rafael Bartolome, my co-host, my New York Times best-selling best friend, he'll be there as well. So check that out. And you're damn right, Lazy Bed, Auntie Anne's pretzels too. There's an Auntie Anne's in the Penn Station when I get off the train every Monday for MK. I'll be taking that trip tomorrow. So maybe as I avoid the multiple gentlemen who usually shower in the sink at the Penn Station bathroom, maybe I'll grab a pretzel there. No, I won't. I'll be ordering ahead. Now I'm on this Dunkin' app. You know, I'm getting those points. I'm ordering ahead on Dunkin', so that when I get off the subway there on Varick Street, I'm walking right in. They know me, you know. They're like, "Oh, sir, here's your frozen coffee and sausage, egg, and cheese bagel." All right, on cinnamon raisin bagel. You gotta have a little flavor in your life. All right, there you go. We are going to have a lot to get into today. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot to talk about with the UFC deal, Paramount, the future on there. Let's hear early here from Intangible 79. Is that the year you was born or what? BC is going to get the backroom payout with Paramount Plus. College ain't free. You know what I always say on this piece. Somebody's got to put those two kids through college. That is my life goal to do that. So is BC going to, or is he going to buy in? I've been with this fantastic company, CBS Sports, a Paramount company, for damn near 9 years. And forgive me for being excited that this would come literally out of nowhere and change the trajectory of my career, of where the company's going right now. So shout out to the Ellisons of Skydance. This merger couldn't have happened at a better time. Thank you very much. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. All right. All I know is put me in coach. I'm ready to play. All right, look at me. I mean, you know, gotta be, right? People don't give John Fogerty enough credit for that 85 comeback album, Center Field. You know, remember he made like 5 or 6 Creedence albums in like a year and a half, seemingly. I'm starting to pick those off on vinyl. They're way better than I expected them to be. Everybody had the CCR greatest hits, right, in the 90s, but then you go album by album, and you're like, man, Fogerty's a damn 3-chord genius. I didn't see that coming. It's hot as balls in here already. Hold on, let me get a little more of that. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Early stuff from K-pop. Hey BC, where's your Paramount shirt? Like Chandler. Yeah, Chandler dipped into the Bellator archives to pull that one out. I saw that one because it says, I think it said Paramount it said, I don't know what it said. It said it was old school, but yeah. I'm a Paramount guy. I mean, this is, you know, I'm rocking the Paramount, you know, whatever they give for the free gifts at Christmas time. I'm all in. I got Paramount kicks. You know that. I got the Air Paramounts. All right. The Air Tiffany's, the CBS Sports sneakers, the dad shoes. All right. Let's go. Home team right here. All right. We're going to get into your questions. They're already coming in and they're great and they're weird and they're everything I expect from you all. So we'll chip away the best I can, self-moderating this. But I did want to encourage you all to take care of yourselves. In the summer, we always think of the summer as like, you know, the gift for getting through the regular year. And it can be, but, you know, there ain't no cure, they used to say, for the summertime blues. You know, great cover song by The Who, by the way. And that can get you down. So keep your head up. Forgive, but don't forget, girl. Keep your head up. All right. That's what I'm talking about. Brenda's got a baby, y'all. I mean, hopefully she gives birth to it, right? It was a Paramount Picture shirt. Thank you, Big Papa. Coming soon to a lava shack near you. It is Telvin K. All right. Can we get a UFC? I mean, if BC's got to go to the White House here to watch a fight, can we go to the Aloha Bowl too? I'll talk to Ellison and Trump and get back to you. Ari, I got him on speed dial. All right. There we go. There we go. Melcar X saying UFC went to CBS so they can get BC. I mean, yeah, that's exactly what happened. I agree with you. Canada's own Brody Moret is back. Dana about to tell the CBS execs to hit BC with a "you're fired." Let's hope not. All right. My job has been to be a critical editorialist, but you partner with a big company. You're to some degree, some parts of your job will change. So we'll see where this goes. We'll see how it goes. But hey, pretty excited about where it's going. All right. What do you got, Vital George 95? Hey, BC, the Just for Men shoe polish worked its wonders. How do you think the MVP? Dude, I'm telling you, and let's kick it off. Okay, we'll kick it off right here. Topic number 1, BC. Excuse me, burping. 319 this Saturday. Great main event. We already know we're fired up tomorrow for Vola and I and LT are going to get down with it. But there's a couple really good sleeper, not sleepers, just powerful main card bouts to me outside of the main event. And of course, the large intrigue to see Aaron Pico not only make the long awaited UFC debut, but potentially finally cash in on that grand potential he has always shown through all of the ups and downs in his early career. To me, the real fight, what does Ariel like to say? The people's main event, like The Rock. To me, I care a lot about a fight that really doesn't necessarily mean a ton, but it's going to entertain the balls out of me when 38-year-old Michael Venom Page continues his recent middleweight turn against 41-year-old Jared Cannonier, who wants to buy that house for his mom. Looked like he was ready for warfare when he outslugged good old Hobo Cop in his last fight. This is going to be a very interesting striking match. So Vital George, fired the heck up your boy BC, okay? Like, we'll criticize him when it sucks, when it's fight night cards that make no sense, when it's met, but yet when you get a pay-per-view card where you're like, yeah, I gotta see all of these. Like, tell me you don't love Carlos Pratis, Jeff Neal. It's gonna bang. We need to see Pratis bounce back. I even like Kai Asakura, excuse me, coming off of that UFC debut title loss, getting the always tough Tim Elliott. So a lot to be interested in up and down this card. We got King Greenback, Chase Hooper, Jessica Andrade. I mean, there's, Edson Barbosa. We got a few old guy cameos here, old lady cameos. So Brian Battle, I'm ready. I'm fired up. 319 is going to bang. Of course, the focus is rightfully on that main event. I saw the interactions in the hotel there between DDP and Hamzat. Some people thought DDP looked like he was scared or something. I mean, you rewatch that tape from multiple angles. I'm like, no, that's not true. I mean, it's always an awkward interaction when you're like, are you going to be cool? Are you going to be cool? And they were cool. Now, Hamzat did make that face, like the I'm about to eat your soul face. Obviously, that's why we're tuning in. What does the first round look like? Does DDP get drowned like the other elite middleweights or elite fighters in general or elite and secondary elite fighters that Hamzat's just ripped through? Or will the consistency of inconsistency for one, what are they calling him? What's that nickname they're calling him? Boar's head? Or is that going to show its head? Is Boar's going to show its head? You know what I'm saying? Is he going to be inconsistent? Is he going to gas out in the championship rounds? Remember round 3 against Usman? Remember the fact that old Hamzat, who we love, man, the guy's exciting as a ball bag. A young ball bag, like a still fertile ball bag. But 3 of the last 4 years, this man has fought just once. So, he hasn't fought since last October against Robert Whittaker. So a lot of pressure on Hamzat. And when there has been big pressure on Hamzat before, the Gilbert Burns fight, where maybe he unnecessarily got into a major brawl and I still scored that 2-1 Burns. Rewatch the tape. Also rewatch Adesanya Whittaker 2 again. Tell me I'm wrong. Also rewatch Thurman Pacquiao again and tell me there's not a 7-5 case for old Keith. People think I'm crazy for that because he got knocked down and got hurt late. I saw that, but you got to win 7 rounds. thought Keith did. Anyway, no one's talking to me about that. Chinchilla on this topic. Hamzat coming off very mellow for this fight week. True, although I did pop for his. I love this. You know, there's that trope in the UFC where like everybody gangs up on Callum Tate and like wrestles him. The fact that these fighters love picking up DC is hilarious to me because unfortunately our boy DC's eating really good and getting bigger. Hamzat throwing him around in the air like he's a rag doll. All right, rag doll matter in a movie. Hot tramp, that is little. I mean, anybody else hear that every time you hear that word? That song's just playing right here, or do I just have deep erroneous problems? Was that even the proper use of that word? I don't know. It felt good though. Felt good coming out. All right, felt really good. Oh, lazy bet gambling right here. Got BC on the Bluetooth speaker at work, taking a very, very calculated risk. Don't worry, no Epstein jokes for me today. All right, unless I'm prompted, unless I'm pushed into it. All right, there you go. What else you got, people, on this topic? Christian Geelan saying DDP's nickname should be Stuff. So, I mean, I'm having a hard enough time trying to figure out what's his name? Hard Knocks, Still Knocks. Yeah, I mean, people told me what it really means or whatever. It's a weird ass nickname. All right, it really is. It really freaking is. Lord of the Pies, time to go tip to tip with the B sizzle. Yeah, on a figurative standpoint, you know what I mean? Like an effigy, I guess, if that even makes any sense. All right. All right. Wow, Lord of the Pies got me on speakerphone right now, too. Woo! Taking a chance. All right. I won't even do this show with the door open. All right. Taking a chance right there. All right. All right. Ben from YouTube's jumping in. He seems serious. Soup. Yeah. So just so you know, I was almost universally known as Soup between the ages of like 11 and 28, to the point where like 75% of the people in my life that were casual people may not have even known my given first name. You know what I mean? It was one of those type of deals. You don't ask for it, they give you a nickname, right? That's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? Did Mike Bond ask for me to call him Boners to Bone constantly? No, it just works, bro. Okay. Ban from YouTube says, Soup, I feel like this Paramount deal for the UFC is better than the ESPN deal because the UFC doesn't have to essentially build a platform similar to FS1 Fox in their first deal. Thoughts? Yes, there are some elements in that where I think this is a slam dunk. First of all, it's a slam dunk for the UFC that they got this much money. And, you know, you could argue, did they overpay? I mean, you know, I saw David Sampson kind of comparing that when he was on Ariel's show to Alex Rodriguez with that big Rangers deal, just getting so crazily overpaid. I mean, the Ellisons made the splash they're trying to do to not only kick off their new era after the merger as owners of this company, but to try to make Paramount Plus a true competitive destination in the streaming wars. That's how you attract further big time team sports. You go all in on something hip, cool like this. So obviously it's almost like a deal you couldn't pass up to begin with. But for everyone wants to make some kind of argument that, you know, ESPN offered this and this and this, and they're not going to get that now. I don't think SportsCenter is going to stop their UFC programming because not only is it often relevant in the actual sports news cycle, but TKO is aggressively still in bed with ESPN with this WWE deal. And I saw on Twitter rumors that Pitaro and ESPN wanted to get even more WWE, you know, moving forward if they could, like the full archives, the all everything, you know. So I don't think that's the case. Does ESPN have bigger social followings per se than CBS or Paramount? I mean, yeah, maybe that's going to change. That's going to aggressively change because the biggest part of this, in my opinion, is for the fans, how you're going away from pay-per-view. And at least for now, will the prices increase and change? I mean, they seemingly inevitably do, no matter what situation you're talking about. But to start off, and this is going to sound like a company line, but how could it not also be accurate when you're going to go from needing to subscribe every month to ESPN Plus and additionally pay a pretty hefty rate for those pay-per-views every single month. Now you can go $12.99 and get it all on the Paramount Plus, or $8.99 with commercials and get it all, and the simulcast on CBS, which last time I checked is the most watched network in terrestrial, you know, over the top cable. So there's some hugely incredible elements in here just the same. This can be massive for CBS Sports HQ, a service I have and regularly am on. I'll be live tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern to talk UFC 319. I'll also be, by the way, this afternoon live 5:30 p.m. in the East on Submission Radio with my good friend there, my favorite Ukrainian Australian Dennis, and I believe that other absolute dirt hole Jed Meshew number 2 will be there too. So this could be big business for you to tune in for the chicanery. But there's always going to be plus and minuses with every deal. But if you care about the idea of making UFC really even more mainstream, and you're sick of playing the illegal streaming game or sick of the extra amount that boxing and MMA consistently make you pay to watch, huge fights, sure, but sometimes not even huge fights. Just the fact that you're going to get that, for much less in one payment and a small payment, it's got to be a big win. Whether you work for Paramount or not, that's got to be a big win. For as long as that lasts, I mean, that's got to be a kick in the butt in a lot of ways for that brand, for Paramount Plus. So there certainly are a lot of winners. Will the fighters lose on this? I mean, obviously, in general, their pay is going to go up from not just from a percentage standpoint, since there's a even ridiculous more amount of money being injected into the larger pool there. I heard Dana say that bonuses are going up. I don't know if it dramatically changes fighter pay. And I don't mean to suddenly change my tune from being, a big fighter of like, man, that sucks, they should pay them more, which I fully agree on. But I don't, the way Luke Thomas has kind of changed on that has rubbed off on me in a sense too. It's like, if the fighters aren't fighting for it and not openly caring for it, us in the media saying that is falling upon dead ears, ears, every time. Lawsuit. There we go. We're back. There's going to be good and bad in every situation. This feels pretty good to at least start. So 7 years too, this is going to be a big deal. And let's see where, UFC's boxing plans go too. A couple different networks rumored, even Paramount in play on that one. It's getting pretty interesting here. So let's see where it goes. All right, Lord of the Pies. Watching UFC is like firing up a game of Fortnite filled with ads to make money off you, and then they still charge you anyways. I mean, yeah, to some degree, we're seeing TKO's big on this. You're seeing that in the WWE, and just an aggressive flooding of the market of value extraction through ads. That's aggressive these days. It's unfortunately like that across the board in a lot of sports as well. But yeah, I mean, look, it's not going to change that there's things about the UFC product that I wish were improved or different or better, from fighter treatment to the level of matchmaking. All I'm basically trying to say here is let's give it a chance, because new eras do change certain things, Dana says some things. He does say we're going to come out guns blazing. I mean, you have to assume they're going to come out guns blazing in the new deal. They want to make a massive splash. So let's see where that goes. Let's see where it happens. Sandu's back. My B Sandu 3. Fortnite is free and there are no ads in it, Bob. Yeah. So why don't you get your shit together? Okay. Also, can we talk Fortnite right now for like a second? For like a hot second? This new season, and I always have issues with Fortnite when they switch. We always want the map to switch up. And sometimes when they refresh the whole thing, it's like, let's go. Let's see what you got. You got new weapons. You got new skins. Let's go. I hit the skins for the hell of it, just for the yell. I get, yeah, that too. They want my bod. There's the hot rod. I always go, look, I'm old school. I want weapons. I want opponents. I want crap to climb. I want vehicles. And I want to see who's the last man standing of the 100. No, I'm not talking about how many great comedians are left. I think we're down to 250 right now. I'm not talking about the 49 of them. I'm not talking about that. But I will say that whenever we're introducing too much fantasy and sci-fi, and Average Joe did hilariously call me out. He's like, you always say you hate sci-fi. I do. But then you're like, yo, my favorite movies are Star Wars and Dune. True. The Star Wars exception is always going to be built in, because I was born in 1978 and I came of age on that Chiat, only to find out that Dune was what Star Wars was supposed to be, right? You know what I mean? Dune, Star Wars was actually the bastardized version of Dune. So I'm going to take that contradiction and ride it. But when Fortnite gets too sorcery, too devilish, too laser beam fingers, Sith evil lightning. I'm like, yo, I just want to go back to the basics. I don't need zombies. I don't need ghosts. And now we got bugs. What is this? Starship Troopers? I don't need it. I don't want it. And you got to have a special bug gun. And I feel like my hairs on my arms are creeping up as these bugs are overwhelming me. Yo, I played that one time. I was like, I'm done. The good news, though, I went back to OG, and OG's on fire right now. Yes, the lack of consistent transportation is annoying. The only transportation currently in the OG is the shopping carts, which are nothing, the golf carts, which are okay, but hard to manipulate, and then the constant ability to hit that rift and shoot yourself across the map. But we got grenades, we got smoke bombs, we got zoomed in rifles. We got a lot going on right there. If you're a weird old dad who's playing against teenagers every night, then this is a good time to get back into the OG. All right, thank you. That's my editorial on Fortnite for the moment. So 319 is going to be great. We'll see what's going on with how much things do change with this Paramount deal. You got to expect it's going to be on fire to start. Interested in seeing what the first main event would be like everyone else. Interested in seeing where does BC fit into this? Where does CBS Sports fit into this? I mean, it's what are you going to do? Say this is bad news? No, this is really good news. Let's see where it goes here. Let's get really excited. All right. What do you got, Brody? TKO Boxing going to CBS and snatching BC away from PBC will be the biggest heel turn since Hogan. All right. Well, interesting potential developments there. We'll see what happens as the future rolls on. Quickly from Cosmo Kramer, can't get through a Timothy Chalamet movie without thinking he is 15. True. Also can't stop reminding myself about those reports that came out that he went to Columbia University and NYC and gave like 86 girls the clap. Look it up. It's an incredible story. But at the same time, that guy's awesome in that movie. Tell me he's not. Tell me the best scene in Dune 1 and 2 combined is the knife battle with the Chris knife at the end of the first movie against what's that guy's name? The amazing stuff right there. All right. Amazing stuff. I don't know where Zuffa boxing is going for the record. There's rumors out there. We'll have to see where it plays out. I don't know where a lot of boxing is going for the record. Do I want to be calling boxing? 1,000,000%. Okay. It's my life. It's my passion. It's pretty much the spirit I bring to the show, just in case you were unaware of that. All right. All right. Questions coming in on fire today. Trying to keep up with you. Trying to understand. Christian Greelan. Christian Galeen Maxwell. Knew I recognized that name. BC, did Luke apologize for missing your birthday? He did, but like, it's cool. It's cool. It's totally cool. He was on vacation and I'm a 47-year-old man. It's all good. All right. He told me happy birthday after the fact. It's pretty much all good. All right. I mean, I forget outside of my parents, my sister and my wife and kids, I forget everyone else's birthday for the most part too. Okay. All right. That's just the truth, right? Unless you have the same birthday as one of those, My sister was born on the same day as Michael Jordan and my high school neighbor, Greg McCurrier. So, yeah, I'll remember that all the time, right? There we go. All right. So that was UFC 319. I can't spoil the hair pie, because we'll be at it aggressively tomorrow with Matt Frevola. And I'm fired up. Matt Frevola I know he hasn't fought in a while. The Benoit Saint Denis KO kind of stunted his run. He is in his mid-30s, new dad. We'll talk to him about where he's going. But he was a great Room Service Diaries guest. He's fun, man. He's relatable. He's a real dude, it seems. Does he have real talk like real dudes do? Is he willing to take the old Cuervo? Is he willing to get down with the tequila that invented tequila? You're going to find out the same time I will. Okay. Inverted free solo. BC, you always give me an awesome laugh. Love your show and style. Keep on. Keeping on. Thank you, brother. I do actually care about this idea of if I can't have a career that I really feel like helps people, like I'm not a teacher, a preacher, a doctor, I'm a podcaster and I write about cage fighting, right? But if I could spread you some joy here, I don't take for granted when you DM me and say like, my life's been hell and the MK has kept me in it. It's hard to really quantify that and understand it, but I appreciate it. So thank you for everybody who because when I'm going through hell and it happens, I cling to that stuff too. You know what I mean? You got to be able to press pause on the whirlwind of death going around you, which happens. We can't avoid that in life. It's obviously how we deal with it that can help at times, but sometimes you can feel like you know how to deal with it in something new, right? Makes you stop, drop, and open up shop. All right. You know what I mean? Wow. Wow. I did have that Rough Riders soundtrack in the late 90s. I played the crap out of that with Ja Rule on it. And yeah, I got back into hip hop in the late 90s for a brief period. It did happen. All right. Back to Canadia's Brody M. BC, when Moses Itauma said you have great energy, I knew you'd instantly love him. Yeah, that was a nice little surprise there where he was like, hold on, mate, stop the interview. Was that too Aussie for you? And he was like, yeah, this energy is great if all you Americans are like this. Not all of us have the same energy, okay? It's like me and Nina Drama. All right, how do we get there? I don't know. All right. Love it. Whew. Real quick question, then I'll finish out my topics. Rob Loria, you the son of the Wonder Years father, Dan Loria, Southern Connecticut State University grad. I once did time at that university until I dropped out. Thank you very much. With the UFC no longer being on ESPN, do you think the PFL will take advantage of this by being the only combat sports promotion on ESPN? Love your content. Much love from Canada. Rob, are you a Quebecois? Are you of my people, of my ilk, or are you of like, I mean, shout out to Ontario. I'm a big Bronster fan. Shout out to British Columbia. I'm a big Shaquille Maljudy fan. All right. There we go. I think PFL has a potential opening here to be like, we are the only MMA game in town on ESPN. We are kind of number 2 in this MMA game. And for all the, I think, justifiable crap we've given them this year, I did like that we gave them their flowers for what they've been doing, at least in the cage lately. That Johannesburg card had some fire moments. I still hate their structure. I still hate a lot of things. Love today's announcement. October 3rd, Abu Dhabi, I believe. Right? Is it Abu Dhabi? How about a doubleheader of Usman Nurmagomedov, Paul Hughes Part 2? You didn't screw the pooch down with 3 ends. You went right back to that Shiat. You pumped Paul Hughes up one more time, and you went right back into that. Thank you. And I believe this is for the official PFL lightweight championship, even though I have no understanding of what the tournaments and the global tournaments mean. I don't know. Champions tournament. Too many tournaments, Don. Great move. And how about this co-main event? Corey Anderson, who's on fire lately, and had to move up to heavyweight to show us that he's still alive and he can still do it here in his mid-30s. OT, that beast from down the hall, right? He's going to take on Davletzan Yagshimuradov of Bellator, and I believe, what country was that man from? I forgot. One of the Stans, I believe that guy was from. I think they're fighting for the PFL light heavyweight championship. Heck yeah. Let's go, Corey Anderson. Let's go. Friend of the program, all right? Like that guy a lot. Shout out to Mrs. Anderson, too, on Twitter. Let's go. Let's see what you can do here. So I'm into that. I do think PFL has an opportunity to raise their stature. I'd like if they further got their shit together. They're getting it together, but I'd like if they further did and stopped with the confusing part of it and just said to themselves, these are the 8 to 10 fighters that we know matter, or the 4 or 5 or whatever you think. You know what I mean? This is our core. These guys got to fight 2 to 3 times a year. And they got to be on every broadcast in some form, whether it's a video package or a live interview or something. These are the guys we're pushing. We don't push the smart cage. We don't push the tournament. We push this. And even if you have to do fights in international locations because you got that relationship and the crowd's going to be there and on fire, it's not like I'm going to hate on that. But push the shit that matters. If you're going to stay on ESPN and if you can get a deal that's worth it from some, sloppy seconds as an aftermath of this massive UFC Paramount deal, get after it, Don. Let's go and put Coach in that spot. Coach is doing it. I like Coach. Shout out to Coach. All right. Cosmo Kramer. Hughes Usman needs to be on ESPN, but will probably be bumped by SEC football. I don't know the situation, but you're right. Obviously, for all combat sports, it is tough to go head to head with football in the fall. You do have to make adjustments to that. But however they're going to present it, you're right. It better be on ESPN. It better be at a time slot that people know it, because that first fight was magic. If that's the peak of what PFL can do, I want that injected. Don, right here, from my finger to my gums. Let's go, Don. Okay. All right. From the lip to the cup. And I know you don't know what that means. Thank you. That was weird. Thank you. All right. Brody, I guess you could say one of my favorite Ontarians. You got to shout out Bronny, Mike Bone, right? Pat Borders, maybe. I don't know. Alfredo Griffin. Okay. No. Brody says, I'm going to Oasis next week here in Toronto. They are proper blokes. I do have a little envy in that. I hope you have a great time. This looks like it's a fun time, this big reunion tour. Let's get after it. All right. Chinchilla, just don't ask Francis. Yeah. I mean, I'd love to hear Francis, what's really going on here, but it don't look good at the moment. All right. It definitely don't look good. What do you got, Mikey? Mikey on the text. All right. Aha. There we go, Intangible. Tell him. Cito Gaston, 2-time World Series champion manager. All right. Those two teams, you got to give them credit, especially that 93 team, right? The Joe Carter home run beating the Phillies team. When you got Ricky Henderson, Paul Molitor in 93, could have been the AL MVP. He had a year and he was in his late 30s. By the way, I just watched that Facing Nolan doc on Netflix for the third time. That one's really good. If you watched 80s and 90s baseball, if you care. Melcar Cabrera X. I have more faith in a crackhead fixing a car than Don. You forgot the ends there. Leave off the last S for savings, fixing the PFL. Yeah, I hear you. I get it. Hey, Galachi, my guy, loves red wine, loves the box, this fella. All right. Don't forget to tune into Inside the Box there. He is a great guy. Do you want to hear it? You want me to hit that? Let's hit it.
He was the best guy around.
What about the people he murdered?
What murder?
Yeah, what murder was the case that they gave me? All right. Lazy Bed. Okay, you're asking for it, Lazy Bed. You'll get it. Shout out to Corey Anderson. Let's find out. All right, let's hit it. Where are we here?
That black guy, he hits hard.
He does. I mean, just got a big win at heavyweight. Real quick, okay, real big, way to go. No, don't even say it, Two Changs. Don't even say it, dude. Are you kidding me? Dude, Two Changs has this Forrest Gump ability to either have seen at a young age something that he maybe shouldn't have, or been there in person, or his dad knew the guy. Big fan of that guy, Two Changs. He says his first baseball game was the 1993 White Sox at Rangers in Arlington when Nolan Ryan beat up Robin Ventura. Wow, dude. Wow. Love that. Is that shoe polish or wood stain? It's pretty much shoe polish, but like I revealed on Monday, I normally do the 10 minutes that they tell you to, but then it really doesn't change much. My wife's like, no, you got to go 30 minutes. Go 30, hubby. I went 30 this time, and it's kind of working. But yeah, I miss spots. I'm sloppy-ish, yeah. But I did it because I've been letting myself look like Harry and the Hendersons lately, just waiting for that phone to ring, and that's not always the way to do it. Okay, this was a reason to get up in the bullpen. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. This was a reason to start putting it together, to stop the late night snacking a little bit, to get back on that road and put in the miles. This is why we lift those weights in the off season, Bill Parcells. All right. That's it. By the way, I used to play pickup hoops at the ESPN full court they have right outside the cafeteria. I don't know if they still have it. I've only been back to the campus once since I left that company in 2017. But we would play, in our department, we'd be like, hey, let's come in a couple hours before work and we'll play these grudge match 3-on-3s. And we had this hefty dude named Genie P. And Genie P used to talk a big game because he'd be like, yo, when I was in high school, I was all division defensive end. I was on the basketball team. And we're like, yo, you want to play basketball? So we played 1-on-1 and I took him to the whole Billy Ho. And at the end of that game up to 11, he was laying down, hyperventilating from the lack of oxygen. Bill Parcells is walking by from leaving the Sports Center studio, leaving the cafeteria, and he stopped and he pointed at Genie P and he just went like this and walked away. It was a classic moment. And you'd get those moments. That was the fun part. You would get those moments at ESPN where you'd be peeing next to Chris Mullen and you're like, hey dude, remember that time? You do the Chris Farley bit on him. Yeah, great stuff. Good times and great oldies. All right, topic 2. Itauma-Whyte. I'm fired up. You heard me talk about it on Monday. Hopefully you watched my interview on the BCX. Obviously, Rafe and I are going to break down this fight in great detail on Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Inside the Box show. But this 20-year-old heavyweight who I almost didn't want to believe that the hype is worthy. Oh, that's Turkey's kid. He's going to push him too fast, too quickly. Then you watch him in an interview. Then you watch all of his fights. Then you really break it down. Unproven, yeah. Never been past 6. 10 of his 12 fights haven't gone past 2, brother. but this dynamic offensive force is a 10-1 favorite to beat a Dillian Whyte who's still got it at 37. I watched their face-to-face roundtable bit. I'm in. My official prediction here. And obviously it would be great if Dillian Whyte landed some shots, if he hurt. We don't really know much about Itama's gas tank, about his chin. We really just know here's a southpaw who moves unlike a heavyweight, who has very, very fast hands, who throws punches in combinations, which, not all heavyweights can do effectively, and who really has power in both hands. If that dude can take a punch, and he may not even have to take a punch. Like, I don't know if he's going to run through him or not, or maybe we go, because it's a 10-round fight, not a 12. So I don't know if, maybe we go in that second half of the fight and we learn more about him. I still think he gets Dillian Whyte out of there, but I think it's really important that he gets this test. I mean, he hasn't beaten killers, but he has beaten respectable step-ups, the Mariusz Vach, former title challenger, those level of guys. I don't know how you're going to go from Vach and Belugin to Dillian Whyte and then right to Usyk. Well, you're going to go there because you're showing dynamicism. Is that a thing? I don't know. I'll have to ask Luke in the dictionary. You're just different. When people, Adam Abramowitz wrote an interesting feature hyping him up. Just like, I haven't seen a heavyweight this good in 2 decades, this young. And it's true. So you got to watch this Saturday afternoon from Riyadh, DAZN pay-per-view. God, how are they putting that on pay-per-view? And then I saw Turkey tweeting out, like, yeah, my brother Mark Shapiro, you're right. I've been telling everybody no more pay-per-view. It's like, yo, Turk, you got a pay-per-view on Saturday, bro. All right? That shouldn't be one. Another topic for another day. Turk 182, by the way. Underrated 80s movie? Kind of, right? Kind of. Am I the only old guy? Me and Sandine, the only old guys in this chat? All right. Moret, what do you got? I'd probably get escorted out of ESPN offices for hitting on Katie Nolan. Yeah, then you're going to have some Dan Soder problems, all right? There you go. LB of the Lazy Bed fame, of Midwestern teenage voice fame, Chris Mullen could have been an MMA champion if he were born more recently. He had a quick release at 6'5". What are you talking about? MMA champion? Do I not know something about his street fighting ability? All right. Great question. Whether you think BC's gonna sell out or buy in here, will hold my hand? You know what I mean? I want to love you the best. That the answer is, what did Hulk Hogan say? Well, he said the N-word, but what did he say when $1 Million Man tried to buy the championship from him? Hell no. I won't hold HE's hand. No. Great way to slip that in, Chinchilla. I've flirted with Conor Oberst's solo records that he did when the band kind of broke apart last decade. I have not been intimate enough to really understand, but I kind of like what I heard. What I did like is once I got into Phoebe Bridgers, and then I remembered that him and Conor and Phoebe had that sort of, I don't want to say like super group album, but that project they did together. What is that? The Oblivion Community Society Center. I forgot what the name of that band is called. I like that record. That's a good record. I like those random get-togethers, like when M. Ward and Zoe Deschanel got together for him and her. Like, I kind of was digging that. All right. I don't know. BC Telvin says equals WCW Sting. It better be Surfer Sting. It better not be the Crow Sting, because I know all you love the Crow Sting. I never, ever did. I'm a Surfer Sting guy. Thank you. J. Ray B. Hogan said, yeah. Okay. Here we go. Yes. 8 feet tall, I believe, was part of that as well. All right. Yeah. Tell him about, Arturo's my guy from Mexico, out of London these days. Him and her is legit. And I'm a big M. Ward guy. I saw him live in 2005 at the Star Bar in Philadelphia. And it was great. Norfolk and Western opened. And then they joined M. Ward to jam in the encore. Fantastic shit right there. All right. Yeah, she and him. Okay, so first of all, amazing album. Saw him that tour too. So you're talking about Conor Oberst. I still haven't seen them live. I should have seen Bright Eyes 2 years ago when they were touring that COVID album, the which I love, the Down in the Weeds album. Now they got that new album out, the Dice one. I like it. I'm coming around to it. I need to see them live. Ever since they added Nate Walcott, to basically orchestrate the songs and play, you know, keyboard and a bunch of other instruments. Their orchestration and musicianship, which was always great under Mike Mogus, went to a whole new level. It really did. Thank you. Who corrected me correctly? Who did that? Oh, it was Vital George, who's very vital to this chat. Yeah, it was she and him, not him and her, she and him. Hymns.com for all your old guy needs. There you go. All right. So Itauma by I think he's gonna have to KO him cold. If he KOs Dillian-Whyte cold, you're gonna have to make the Usyk fight. And then do Joe Parker against Ajit Kabayel as the co-main. Because you know Turkey's gonna do it. And it would be a great story because this dude's Itauma's gonna be 21 in December. So imagine if you did him and Usyk in like January or February, dude. That'd be wild. That'd be wild. I think he gets it done and stops White in the middle rounds, the 6th round. But like a blind man at an orgy, shout out to the original Naked Gun, he's gonna have to feel his way around a bit in there because White can punch. We all know that. We all freaking know that. But the speed. I mean, what did Freddie Roach say? Do we have that? I think we have that sound. Stay with me here. Stay with me. We got too many items in here. Do we have that sound anymore? Yeah. All right.
He can't handle your speed, son.
Yeah. Freddie said it. Or maybe that was me cosplaying as Freddie, right? All right. All right. Let's hear from Harold Letterman.
Jim, I gotta tell you something. Are these guys Russian or are they just in a hurry?
4 rounds to 3, Joel Casamayor. Jim, I got to tell you something. I have no idea what he's doing out there. It's just unbelievable. All right. I don't know. I'm working on it. Big Papa's Key Papa back. Surfer Sting from the late 80s, early 90s Sting. You're nuts, BC Crow. No, not Crow for the win. Look, I respect that as a one-man babyface faction. He was able to give the NWO that much trouble storyline wise. And obviously they effed it up in a big way with that Hogan, Bret Hart, 97 Starrcade debacle. I mean, it was brutal, but that was a decent version of him. There ain't nothing like babyface Surfer Sting going 45 minutes to a draw against Ric Flair at Clash of Champions 89 with Jason Hervey from the Wonder Years as a judge. There ain't nothing like that. That guy, I mean, for being a babyface Hogan mark in the 80s like I was, but then starting to slowly sour on the WWF product around 88, 89. Yes, the Mega Powers Explode is still the best storyline of all time. But, you know, once we got into Zeus, which I was fired up for, and then you're like, oh, yeah, that's the worst wrestler of all time, and this is the worst shit I've ever seen. Then you're like, I need something a little bit more manly. WCW, Surfer, babyface Sting, chasing that belt was that superstar. Steve Borden was superstar. All right. Okay. My lady was texting me. All right. Now she's on a college tour with my other son in Massachusetts. It's a wild time right now. Okay. It's a wild time. All right. Tell them Lazy Bed. Tell them Scorpion Death Drop into the Scorpion Deathlock. I mean, the splat, dude, the splash into the scream into the Scorpion Deathlock. Iconic. All right. What do you got, Chengs? Vincent Hulk wrote one of the words. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how old you are too, Chengs, but I was like 10 or 11 when that movie came out. Like, you can't even begin to understand, if you were a WWF fan in 5th grade, how exciting it was grabbing your boys at like a birthday. You know, somebody would have a birthday party, be like, guess what? We're going to the theater to see No Holds Barred. You know what I mean? And did it live up? It lived up to our 5th grade minds. Yes, it was freaking awesome. And when it finally came back around, remember it wasn't on DVD forever. I ended up showing it to my kids when they were like 4 years old, and they loved it. Yes, it's the worst, one of the worst movies of all time, but it's so bad it's redeemable in its own way. It's humorous. Like, you know, one of my favorite podcasts is the Lapsed Fan podcast. The deep dive they did on that movie, they even brought on the bad guy in the movie, what's his name? They even brought him on and interviewed him. The stories he told behind the scenes about how Vince thought he was making art and was, I mean, it's wild. It is wild. All right. Intangible 7. Any hardcores watch the WBC Grand Prix today? 16 fights, 8 hours of slop. Yeah, I ain't watching that shit yet. I'm sorry. I ain't watching that. Ain't watching that. And thank you. That's the moment when Hogan shakes out there, dude. It's dookie. It's, I remember even being in 5th grade and being like, that's corny. That's corny. But it was the most corny thing ever. So it's like, they're basically like, let's take a really bad script, a really bad movie, but we'll take it to the extreme. I mean, that final match and sequence with Zeus going through the ring, epic stuff. All right. Also, going to get into this. I can't wait to hear what Rafe has to say about this. I knew Andre Ward had this sneaky want at the end of his career. And when I interviewed Andre Ward in that studio in Las Vegas on MK during Ryan Garcia Tank Weekend, when he was putting out the Showtime documentary, which was really good, by the way, he had told that story again about there was a time at the end of his career where he was considering one more. And it was when Anthony Joshua was at heavyweight. Him and Virgil Hunter, his trainer, had this idea that might be the perfect matchup for him to do a Roy Jones versus John Ruiz. Only this ain't Ruiz. This is AJ. Okay. The fact that Ward is getting to the point where he realizes, he's not going to be able to do this anymore. And Canelo doesn't seem like he wants to fight him and kind of never did. I mean, Ward told me in that interview a few years ago that if Canelo had called him out at any point after Ward retired, he would have gotten right back in the gym and taken that fight. And oh, by the way, I'm picking Ward to win that fight. Like, as long as you give him a proper training camp and he can come back. I mean, what is he right now? Is he 41 right now? Is he 41? Let's see old Andre Ward. And I don't think Rafe appreciates or loves Andre Ward. And I get it. Rafe has his things against certain fighters. He was heel Canelo. He was on heel Canelo doing doping from the beginning. All right. Okay. So Andre's 41 right now, and he's been out of action for a long time. But the fact that Andre's at this point that he's like, you know what? AJ doesn't have a belt anymore. But I know I got one more. I know I got one more chance at greatness. I don't necessarily think it's financially driven. Is it a bonus that, for all he knows, this could be a freaking Netflix fight or a turkey fight where they just pump, ridiculous amounts of money in? Of course, that might be part of it. You might be, if you're Andre Ward, you might be thinking, man, I can make sure the grandkids live good. But I do believe it's the true competitor in him. Say what you want about Andre Ward, but I do believe he was one of the greats all time, but one of the great competitors. This it'd be a hell of a task. I don't even care that AJ is more toward the end than the beginning and got sent to hell by Dubois. I get all that. I do think AJ's got a little bit left still. I think he'll win another big fight. I think it's still in him to do that. Other people don't agree, but I do. I think the way that he fought against Dubois, getting hurt early and just kept coming back, though the knockouts that he had before that, it was a different AJ. The AJ that sat alone in isolation in the dark for 4 days, something happened to that man, okay? But I get that not everybody's going to want to see this or will be into this. Part of this is the super fan of Andre Ward in me. All right. I know Andre Ward isn't always the best interview and sometimes it can be difficult. All that stuff is true. But I love that man in the ring. But I'll give you, ham sandwich. I'll give you the floor to say it. A lot of people are saying this. Ward is delusional. He looked slow against Kovalev. That was 8 years ago. All this is true. But would he still, if he's been staying in shape for those years and he's 41, I mean, this is some Sugar Ray Leonard shit. Really, it really is. I mean, but he'll always have a natural speed advantage on there. He can win a fight in any way. Look, the fact that this is such an uphill climb, even with an aftermarket AJ, especially with Ward being gone that long, it's one of those things that, like, if it's going to happen, I don't know if he can do it, but if he does, we're going to see greatness happen. We're going, and then some people, and I've said it too, as much as I love Ward and he did go away in his own terms, because he missed 3 years of his prime in the legal battle with Dan Goosen, there were more big fights I wanted from him. You know what I mean? I wanted to see even more how great he was. I'm not saying like he left us, he's still a Hall of Famer, still undefeated, all that. Like, I'm never trying to say like, you didn't give me enough. I'm just saying, like, greedy as a fan of him, I want to see even more what you could have done. I don't know. I kind of popped for this. I kind of popped for this idea. It helps that it really only makes sense now because AJ's a little bit after it, but that's still a dangerous as Shiat fight. Maybe on Friday, Rafe is going to poo-poo it and poo-poo him. Be there for the shit cleanup if it is, but man, I All right. All right. Did I miss anything good here? I've been trying to star these ones. Ham sandwich. Anthony Joshua can handle your speed, son. Why not Usyk? How about the fact because Andre Ward at his peak was, at the end was a light heavyweight and hasn't fought in 8 years. How about that? Okay. Usyk's like an all-time great heavyweight, closing out an all-time great career. Maybe, what if he comes in and shocks us and does the thing to AJ? Still, that's a bad matchup for Andre. I think, again, he's not chasing a title here. I think he's just chasing a competitive opportunity to once more show us his greatness. And I don't hate that. I don't. All right. My guy Chang's back at it here. South Oregon Bird. Ward signing with Rock Nation and sitting out his prime really did suck. Yeah, I kind of did as a fan of his. Yeah. I remember when he finally came back, it was a club. Yeah, there was a few of those matchups that I obviously wasn't overjoyed with, but he was making a shit ton of money from Jay-Z during that stretch. Not that fully, repairs it. Look, at least he closed the show with back-to-back Kovalev fights, right? I actually believe he won the first fight. I know there's a lot of you that are like, there's no chance. No, he did win the first fight, but notwithstanding, he still gave you the rematch. Now, did he punch Kovalev in the balls in the rematch? Yeah, he did. Yeah, they should have called that. Yeah, they should have. But he also bullied the bully and broke him. And went out as the pound for pound king. That ain't nothing, folks. All right. It really isn't. Melcar Cabrera. Thing is, though, I never viewed Ward's speed as one of his great assets. His timing, on the other hand, good point, was top tier. But as we know, timing is the first. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. I'm not acting like this is automatic. But it's the fact that it's so difficult that makes it interesting, and the fact that if you can say what's the best quality Ward had, that he's adaptable to the situation in ways that are not only elite and Hall of Fame. They're like, to me, an even extra level. He could win any fight in any style that he had to, and he showed that consistently. But what I'm saying is a light heavyweight's hand speed against a heavyweight, even a guy at 41 is probably still going to be a little bit faster, even though AJ is a great athlete. All right. Who's calling me? Oh, yeah. I'll call you back. I will. All right. It's about time to get it aggressively into your questions. All right. What else you got, Two Chinks? Ward had a really underrated stiff jab. He could win a fight with just that stiff jab. He was busting Kovalev up with in the second half of the first fight. Yes, he made amazing adjustments. And by the way, that corner speech that the Careless Whisperer Virgil Hunter gave him after getting knocked down by Kovalev, and it was a legit ass right hand to the middle of the forehead. That was like, now's the time to be great. That's what Ali did. That's what Leonard did. You know what I mean? Like, get up off the canvas and be great. Goosebumps, bro. Goosebumps. All right. I can't see all these questions here. I do appreciate that. That you guys are doing this. Can I find? Yeah, dude, you got to give YouTube credit. I mean, I don't know that of a fight I want to see that isn't in some form on YouTube. Sometimes, though, in my opinion, you got to find the right version of meaning, if it was a big American pay-per-view on HBO or Showtime pay-per-view, to me, you got to find that version of it with those announcers. Every fight also has the promoter's international feed version, where a lot of times, to be fair, they're using second-rate or aftermarket announcers. And those don't always have this, that call doesn't always have the same gravitas as Jim Lampley calling Foreman Moore, right? So, but yes, YouTube, I mean, I always say it, pre-YouTube from 04 to 06, I spent almost all of my discretionary income as a mid-20s guy working in a factory trying to put my life back together on full careers of DVD of fighters. And then YouTube comes around like, hold on, we got it all right here. It's like, oh, wow. All right. 100% agree with BC Ham, Sammy. I don't even know what you're agreeing with me on, but hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about, all right? Two Chinks, how'd you get here in your boxing knowledge? Growing up, Two Chang says I had hundreds of VHS tapes with ESPN Classics boxing, all boxing and UFC pay-per-views, etc. Converted it all to DVD. Now it's all just on YouTube. Yeah, obviously not all UFC ones are, and they've done a good job policing that. You kind of have to have UFC Fight Pass for that in that regard. And I don't always think UFC Fight Pass is the easiest to navigate, but what have you. All right. Good call, Steven. All my candy liquor friends in my boxing Twitter DMs are always talking about this. Tubi has a good amount of the HBO boxing catalog. And don't we have that Top Rank channel on one of those fast networks as well? Maybe that's the same thing. I don't know. All right. Yeah, so those are my topics there. The floor is yours. We got some super chats coming in. Super chats are always appreciated. Is it a grift? You're damn right it is. And I feel weird about it. But again, somebody's got to keep this record collection alive, and somebody's got to put these kids through whatever. All right. There we go. Let's bang it out here. Let's bang. Tui. Why can't I figure out how to work this? Come on. There we go. All right. First up, my man Franco. This guy can box. He's got hands. This guy's got hands. BC, with your bosses being in bed with UFC. Wow, that's aggressive. It's also true though. Does that mean you will be curbing your criticism? Well, I won't be curbing my enthusiasm. I'll tell you that much. Will you now be one of those company men commentators who glaze the A side as they're getting beat by the unknown B side? No, I've never been an A side glazer. In fact, in my boxing announcing, I tried to pride myself on not being the carrying of the underdog's water, but always showing you, either previewing a fight or in the middle of a fight, that, hey, the B-side's also here. And even though he's losing now, he's also got a chance. And let's not miss the moment there. But I do get the general question of what you're asking. Could this lead to a change in the tone of how I cover it? I mean, like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, this is where we're at in 2025. Was ESPN writing huge exposés against the UFC in recent years? No, right? So you have to be smart in how you do it. Really, like always, you got to be smart in how you do it. Did we get an MK, a little off the cuff, a little loose in turn 4, being angry at certain things? Yeah, and I don't take that back or regret it, but I understand the relationship. I understand where we're at. I worked at ESPN for 11 and a half years. There were a lot of sanctions in certain things. You can navigate it. You can also still be honest and still give honest commentary. But do you have to understand? Yes, I understood when I worked for Showtime that the partners there were PBC and Bellator. Like, you got to know how the game is played ultimately, right? That doesn't mean you can't criticize things. Doesn't mean you can't talk about the matchmaking. Doesn't mean this or that. You got to be smart, really, and I've done that before, and I understand where we're at. I mean, we'd all love it that if all sports was on HBO boxing back in the day where Larry Merchant's like, this fight shit, but is that a reality? Are you going to stay employed? You know what I mean? Like, so if this is my full-time job, and this is how my kids get healthcare, this is, you know what I mean? Then you gotta play the part of the job you have and stay loyal. Who's been loyal to you? Who's been loyal to me? CBS Sports and Paramount for going on 9 years, right? I worked at ESPN for almost 12. This has been arguably, the best job I've ever had in a lot of ways. And it's been, fully honest. We're always fully honest with you. It's been rough the last couple of years, times were kind of hard on the boulevard. The travel budget was gone. Paramount had to part ways with MK. Paramount had to sunset Showtime Sports at a time when I was about to make that leap to the very top. But you got to adjust. You got to roll with the punches and roll with the changes. The same way I rolled with the changes 2 years ago, I'm going to roll with these changes and hopefully try my best to make them work for me. It's also super exciting in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? If I get opportunities to be at these fights with cameras, if I get opportunities to have the budget to be on the road and in training camps, doing the big interview 3 weeks out from the big fight, like, I'm going to embrace that. You know what I mean? Am I going to sit there and trash the company? No, but I hope in my writing, I'm still going to be able to tell the truth the best I can about what you're seeing. But I also know the final score. You know what I mean? It's like, if you want to go into business for yourself, you got to go independent. And right now I'm employed by a great company. This is the direction they're going. It's a direction I actually like, by the way. So let's see what happens right here. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to embrace it and be very happy with it. Zachary Taylor, the U.S. president, he's back. Happy anniversary to you and your loved one there on August 8th. Okay, hope you guys are doing well. With BC's bosses in bed with UFC, let's hope we get some live BB. Yeah, I think that's going to be what happens. I haven't attended a UFC card in so long, back when MK was on the road. It's just the way the business went. It's the way things were going. I'm excited to get back out there. CBS Sports is going to have a presence out there, in 2026 at UFC events. And I'm very excited to be a part of that. So let's go. All right, let's go. Let's see. This is huge for CBS Sports HQ, which is a big part of my job. And you can always argue it's the foundation of why I'm employed the way I am with CBS. Like this is, and they're going to have full highlight rights to UFC. They're going to have full access to do some kind of legit on the ground coverage. Let's go. Let's go. Maybe you guys didn't know me a lot in 2018 and 2019 as MK was kicking off, but that's the coverage I was doing back then. We covered the shit out of UFC back in 2018 and 2019. I was on the road all the time at the big ones. So let's go. Brody, thank you for saying this. Okay. Do I love the Canelo Crawford undercard September 13th or is it 12th? What, that's Saturday. Was that the 13th? Allegiant Stadium, Netflix, the first UFC. I thought it was a little underwhelming, certainly for a fight of this magnitude, for an event of this magnitude. Although, do I love me some Christian Mabili? Yes, I do. The co-main I really like, because for everybody saying, oh, Callum Walsh of Ireland, trained by Freddie Roach, who's had Tom Loeffler behind him and has had, of course, Dana White being a big champion and financially playing a big role in that relationship. He's a very good prospect, but I get people saying now's the time to step up. This is a great step up fight against another good looking prospect at about the same level as him. Oh, and it just happens to be Fernando Vargas Jr., one of the three fighting brothers of Fernando Vargas. Let's go. This is a great fight. It feels very 50-50 on paper. What are you saying? 2 50-50 fights intangible because and Lester Martinez, who's fighting Christian Mabili, is absolutely no joke. I love that fight too. So, three Vargas kids. Yeah, the three brothers, and they're all pretty damn good to be honest with you. Exciting in different ways. Tu Chang's believes Emiliano looks like the best of the Vargas brothers. I can understand why. I called one of the other Vargas brother when he fought Ryan Garcia's brother on that Fanmio card. He's pretty damn good as well. So is the fighter that's going to be fighting Walsh. I really want to see on this level, knowing that UFC probably wants to build a lot of the future of Zuffa boxing or whatever that looks like around somebody that they really helped build up. And that's Callum Walsh, who has a lot of very good qualities, can punch, is not afraid of the big moment. In a co-main event with this much pressure, this much eyes at Allegiant Stadium, on Netflix with Max Kellerman and John Anik on the call. Let's go. I really do like that fight. Maybe I followed Callum Walsh a little closer than others because I interviewed him a lot early on his rise. I was able to call his fight on UFC Fight Pass in Dublin last fall. All that is true, but this is going to be a test to find out what that dude has right here. Melcar X, I'm kind of interested in Walsh, but I'm way more interested in Mabili. Yeah, Mabili's been needing a big fight at 68 to see if he can get into the Canelo sweepstakes, to see if he can cash here and crash this overall picture. The dude is fun as shit to watch. So let's see what he does against Lester, the Mo Lester. All right. Maximiliano Martinez, shout out to Max Martinez here. Thank you for supporting this here chat, just like Franco just did. Thank you, brothers. Hey, Brian Campbell, I'm heading to my first UFC event this weekend. What am I in for? Wow. Okay. Chicago is such an underserved fight city. In fact, if you watched that DAZN fight 2 weeks ago with Regis Prograis in the co-main and the main event with that fantastic Sims Duarte brawl, I've heard that Golden Boy's like, yo, we got to go back there. I wish more fights would go to Chicago. They bring it there. It's a great fight city. This card is pretty damn awesome. The main event is a 11 out of 10. I've said it before and I'll always say it because I covered a lot of fights cage side at UFC events. Their in-arena experience is great. It's absolutely great. Do I overly love the Trump and, Imperial March thing? No. Do I, you know what I mean? Like, no, but I don't know if that man's going to be there, but you're going to have a great time. There's going to be buzz. There's going to be legit buzz at this event. So, fired up for you. All right. Fired up for you. Cosmo Kramer, BC and Oscar Willis going to be destroying local bars on the road. I cannot hang with Oscar Willis. I have had some fun times with him on the road hanging out, but it's always like early in his night, late in my night, early in his night. So shout out to that guy. He is a look, he's a handful, but he's a fun dude and a genuine dude. So I'm a big fan of him. Bronstetter and I are going to be hitting the vinyl record stores aggressively around this globe. Okay, so get ready. All right. Jackson Black says Chimaev round 1. So that's what we want to see. That's what we want to see. All right. Back to intangible. Valentina almost killed Jessica in Chicago. Yes. Didn't Holly Holm have that big Fox fight in Chicago? Was it against Valentina too? I don't even remember that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite KOs of all time. I feel bad that Jessica walked right into that. Did not have an eye for what was coming. Okay. Did not. All right. Telvin, Big Papa Key Papa, thank you for supporting this BCX. What is your prediction for the first UFC main event for Paramount Plus? I believe, isn't that like UFC 326 or something? I already saw like a mock poster that people put out with people they wanted in it. That'll take place in January. I don't believe there's a location yet. They tend to go big. We talked about this on MK briefly, whether it was Kane JDS 1 in 2011 on Fox, or it was the first pay-per-view and the first fight night card in Brooklyn that UFC had in the ESPN era. They what was that? Cejudo, Dillashaw, like they bring it. They absolutely bring it. I believe they're going to, at the very least, the main event's got to crush and be huge. Dude, I'd love if they did Topuria. Now, I also want to see Topuria a second time this calendar year, whether it is Gaethje, who wouldn't be my first choice, but we've talked about this a lot, or the number of names it could be below. Sarukian, good Lord, Patty. Imagine if it's Gaethje, Sarukian. I mean, you got to kind of position who's the guy that you want to tell a new audience. I mean, you're going to get a lot of casual crossover because as much as there are people that know how to legal stream and been doing that shit for years, there are a lot of casuals who have no idea how to do that stuff, who watch when they go to the bar or their buddy's house, or maybe they buy it every once in a while, for the 3 fighters they know, because casuals sort of need that. Topuria is that drug to inject. Gaethje being the all-action B-side, I mean, I think that fight could be a massacre, but I wouldn't hate if that was the matchup they chose. You obviously have to pick the right guy who's not just an old name that people remember, but like you got to have an in-the-moment A champion in the main event. Could that be, Chimaev or DDP if they win here? I mean, obviously it'd be better if you had a sexy matchup that was closer to 50-50. I don't necessarily believe Topuria Gaethje is that matchup for that sense, but I do believe that would be a good one right there. I mean, you go up and down the divisions and you really ask yourself, where are we going here? You're going to get Islam probably at MSG, right? Against JDM. So that wouldn't happen. Could you delay Ilya and do that? Could you go? I mean, you certainly could try to line it up with Tom Aspinall if possible. Depends when his when is that Gone fight? There's a few options there. But if you're going to go big, you look at the roster, what's the biggest guy that you want to really push aggressively out there? I think even more than pound for pound King Makhachev, who wouldn't be able to because he's fighting in November. It has to be Topuria in my eyes. You've also got, it has, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong here? But let's say Hamzat frickin' destroys DDP. The only thing is you kind of need that. If it's Hamzat, you kind of need that B-side to sizzle too, right? Do they have sizzlers B-sides? I mean, there's hardcore fan B-sides that we want to see, RDR, Fluffy. I don't know if there's a sizzling B-side. Whereas Topuria as the A-side, that's enough sizzle. You need a dance partner. Gaethje's that dance partner. So would be Sarukian, by the way. Would not, it's a better fight, in fact. But all right, there we go. Tobias coming at me, supporting me. Thank you, sir. Hey, BC, a few weeks back, I was the guy whose girlfriend walked out of the cinema 4 minutes into 28 days later, and you advised me to end. Did I really advise you to end the relationship? I don't know if did that happen? Is this another Ariel versus Logan Paul thing? Check the DMs. I'm glad to report that we made up. You humbled her, THX. Oh, boy. Maybe I said that in a joking manner. I am happy to hear that you made up, and hopefully if this is the right relationship for you, you will carry on and grow from this. But walked out 4 minutes in. I mean, I've definitely walked out of a theater before. I've definitely, I I've definitely taken the VHS rental out and been like, enough, whether it was $1 Million Baby or even Natural Born Killers, which I know people love in a cult-like setting. That was kind of gross real time when I was watching that. And I was fired up from the trailers for that. When it finally came out in video, I remember renting that with my guy Bogo, and both of us, like an hour in, we're like, man, this is pretty dark. This is pretty dark right now. This is yeah. Carry on though, Tobias. All right. Carry on. You know what I'm saying? Love it. Thank you. Thank you for supporting this show. Good-ish. Ham Sammy, BC had a lot of gummies in his tummy. I may have at that time. That may have been possible. Not today, but that may have been possible. Thank you. I have not seen 28 years later, but Christian Geelan says, look, that's really good, folks. So take that. Take that. Okay. Take this job and shove it. Not this job. Great job right here. CBS Sports Paramount. Thank you. Thank you. Also, guys, like, what do you kind of expect me to do? You kind of expect me to go like, yeah, F the UFC. I need a new job. No. How about let's keep climbing my career ladder and see where it takes me. All right, let's go. These are the sports I cover. Let's cover that shit out. Let's go. All right. Oh, we got that one. Thank you. Thank you, Telvin. Let's go over to Michael Carson. He's a veteran in this chat. We know about this guy. Big supporter. Thank you, sir. Thank you. You know, my eyesight is bad. My MK Wash Dads poster comes in today. Let's hope it's during the live stream. Let's go, Carson. Thank you. Seriously, dude. Thank you. And I know the signed poster is a little pricey. It's probably our greatest chance to make a little cash on this site, but we really appreciate the hardcores for doing that. Whether you buy the unsigned ones, I know this month that you can only buy the signed ones, but they moved really well this month. So shout out to you guys. Average Joard has been fantastic. He's been providing us with designs. We've been buying a few from him. Long Island Luke running the site, coming up with ideas. It's been great. I really like that MK 2.0 merch, or 3.0, I guess, in some ways, because we originally started on the Showtime merch site. It's been good. It's been fun. I love that. Even for myself, I love that there's color options. I love that you can switch that up. So that's been great. So thank you for purchasing that. I hope you get to open that up mid-show. Let's go. All right. Well, if you can, let's go. Geelan, what do you got here? I'm all for BC climate. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm trying, dude. You know what I mean? You know, it's always twofold. Supporting my family is, you know, is the most important thing to me. Allowing my kids to, maybe it's because my road had some aggressive pitfalls and detours, and some self-inflicted, some not. But, you know, as a dad, you want your kids to have all the chance in the world to be what they're supposed to be. That's what providing for them is what matters most. On the flip side, I don't want to call it selfish ambition, but do I have aggressive ambition? Yes. I punted away my career, you know, options and opportunities in my 20s aggressively, and had to do the, you know, almost the NBA 10-day contract backdoor route to get to right here. You know, I didn't make any kind of real money until I was 40 years old. I'm 47 now and still feel like I haven't gotten to the point where I, you know, to the level of where I really believe I can play at. And I'm ready. All right. This has been fun this year, although I would like more PBC dates, right? It's been fun calling those fights. Oh my God. Yes. This is my passion. This is what I do. This is what I love. So, let's go. More from Geelan, Ghislaine, excuse me, Ghislaine. I wish I had a BC mug or an MK shirt, but it costs like the amount of 6 shirts to get it here. Oh, where are you living? Yeah, we used to have that flat rate international shipping on MK merch 2.0. We don't have that anymore. Okay, so it's not perfect. It's not perfect, but at least it's available. At least Saul and his wife are wearing everything we sell. All right, that's great. That's great. Melky Cabrera, I'm too cheap to walk out of a movie, and I'm usually high enough to find something good. Now, yeah, it's relatable. I understand that. I do understand that. I used to abuse when I was the sports editor of a no, You're the Man Cockerton. You know, this guy's stiff Cockerton. When I used to be the sports editor of my hometown's weekly newspaper, and they used to you know, because it was a newspaper publication, the movie companies would send you know, emails with like, hey, you want free tickets to this screener or whatever. So I would just pick up the screener tickets all the time. It was kind of inconvenient. I had to drive like 40 minutes over down to North Haven to a massive theater there, but I'd just go alone, buy a 6-pack, walk in there and see some of the worst movies ever. I remember I saw MTV Spring Break documentary movie. I saw like a real bad Friday the 13th where like Jason was in space and just, you know, cracking beers in the theater and being an absolute dirt hole. Those were good days, actually, in hindsight. Let me take back everything I said negative about that. Those were good days. All right. Yeah. All right. Jackson Black, you are my second best friend after Demisk. I don't know. Where are we right now? Well, I don't know, but thank you. Okay. BC cares if don't know what anybody else cares. Great. Okay. Let's keep the fun going. My guy Joe at Run Dem Cheeks. Thank you, Joe, as always there. Appreciate you. Appreciate your service out there in the armed forces. Are there any album covers you dislike? Man, this guy always has the best questions. All right. When I do get that music pod spinned out, I need this guy asking questions on it. Yes, as much as I love, you know, I did that top 5 countdown when I launched the BCX channel of my favorite album covers of all time, from Axis Bold as Love by Jimi Hendrix Experience to Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. On the flip side, if you're going to love this game, there's got to be ones that drive you up a wall. Yeah. How about Blind Faith's original cover, which I do have, of a 13-year-old European chick topless. It was supposed to be art, they said. And now I even feel bad that I own one of those, like, you know, original. It's not like a original printing, but it's like a copy from the, you know, from the early 70s. Yeah, they could have done without that for sure. Are there other album covers that either don't match how great of an album that it is that kind of annoy or piss you off, or maybe are just abrasive in some way? Yeah, I mean, I hate spiders, and I love that British electric blues band 10 Years After, which is, you know, most famous for their Woodstock performance, lead singer guitarist Alvin Lee of I'm Coming Home. They've got this one called Tumbleweed Green, I believe is the name of the album, with a massive spider on the back. Don't do that to me. Don't. Average Joe R, you DM me a picture of a big ass hairy spider. That's a fireable offense. All right, just so you know that. I'm trying to think what else. Whether album covers are just offensive almost, right? They're just bad. I don't know. I'm trying to think. That is such a good question. I don't know. Oh, I'm thinking of the ones I love that are underrated, like Revolver by the Beatles. I've always really loved the Rubber Soul cover too, just like the mop tops and just the way they look there in 65. Zanny Pacquiao was jumping in. Creed's Weathered album cover is Crime Against All People with Eyes. Yeah, that's a great one. Great answer, J. Ray B. Nirvana's Nevermind, which, you know, certainly hella iconic. It's also a baby's peignoir. You know, didn't that guy go on to sue the band, even though his parents were the ones that signed up for it? Yeah. What? Oh, Average Short in the chat. My God, Joe, what are you doing to me? I did, mainly because the new species is known for its massive genitalia. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was a BC spell. No, as soon as I saw it, I clicked delete. I unfollowed. But no, shout out to Average Joe, California's finest. Big fan. Yeah, Reloaded sucks as well. I mean, I don't love, you know, it's like, so the Beatles with their 1968 double album, self-titled The Beatles, that we all call the White Album, it's so iconic that I don't like that it's been repeated, that the Metallica did their own self-titled one, the Black Album, that, you know, Jay-Z did the Black, like, I don't necessarily love that, but let's go. What's a classic ass album that Metallica load also? Yeah, also thank you. What's a classic ass album that's where the cover just doesn't really make any sense, where it also just kind of pisses me off? It's a great question. That really is. It really is. I'm gonna think about that. By the way, you know that the cover of maybe the best Zeppelin album, Physical Graffiti, is of two brownstone buildings in New York City right next to each other, which, by the way, get this for synergy in rock and roll, the Rolling Stones music video for Waiting on a Friend, which played very early in the MTV days, and of course was off of the 1981 album Tattoo You, A very underrated album, even if it was a collection of never used B-sides through the years or songs that never made the cut for albums, but yet there's some bangers on there. That video in which Mick and Keith are, in a bar and then they're walking on a street, that's shot right at the same thing right in front of there. And then if you go on Google Maps and look where that actual address and location is, there's I think a bakery or some business right next to it that has a physical graffiti title to it as well. I pop for that kind of stuff. Okay. I do. Thank you. Thank you. All right. What am I going to find that? Am I going to find that album? That album cover in my head that I'm thinking of here? Probably not. Probably not. Great question though, Joe. Appreciate you. Thank you. Dude, so Kevin G saying Black Sabbath Paranoid. I mean, it's more iconic than to say I don't like it. You know what that's always scared me though? The first Black Sabbath, the self-titled debut one, that album cover, that's like Blair Witch Project style. That's like a little scary to me. Okay. That's yeah. Brody, you're right. The Blue Album by Weezer is absolutely solid. And Joe L himself got me into Pinkerton, which I'm also really liking. I just think a gimmick is overplayed, like the Max Holloway point to the ground gimmick. Okay. All right. A little bit overplayed. Okay. There you go. Great stuff, people. Great stuff. What do you got, St. Stephen? Physical graffiti building is on St. Mark's. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I love that kind of synergy when I do. I love that you can walk around LA and look up like, oh, this is where the Morrison Hotel cover was shot at. It was shot at this former hotel that's no longer there. You know what I mean? I love that shit. All right. I love when you look up movie locations of like 80s and 90s movies that you've seen a million times, and then you go find that location. The first time I was ever in LA, UFC 199 weekend, same weekend that Muhammad Ali died. We never made it to all the stops because that was my introduction to LA traffic, but Brokamoto, ESPN's Phil Murphy, and myself jumped in the rental car, and I had an itinerary ready where we were going to hit all those spots. We were going to go to Marty McFly's house of Back to the Future. Then we were going to go to the Wonder Years house in Glendale. Then we were going to go to like at least 2 White Man Can't Jump locations. It would have been the best scenic thing ever. And then, I got punched right in the face by LA traffic. There you go. Yeah. Let's hit this now, Brody. All right. Let's hit it now. BC, please address Boots trying to fight people's uncles like a drunk guy at a cookout. I tried to softly defend him last chat in the midst of everybody dunking on him. Does he need 2 tune-ups at 54? No. But this announcement, after we heard rumblings that Boots could make his 54 debut against Virgil Ortiz Jr., to then name someone that none of us have ever heard of. And I know the guy's got a good record. And I know the hardcores like Boxrec Gray are like, this guy's actually not that bad. But it's about the aesthetics here, Boots. We want to see you great against great names. And then apparently Boots says he reached out to some 54s and they said no, including Jesus Ramos. And then Jesus Ramos tweets out, hey, you never reached out to me. You reached out to my uncle Abel, who's a welterweight. Remember the guy that gave Barrios hell on the Paul Tyson undercard? So no, I can't defend this. Shout out to Dan Rayfield for ripping this main event. It's back in Philly, and it's another name like Karen Chukadzian twice, who you're just like, unless you have to do this as a mandatory to defend your title, why are we doing this for your 54 debut? I don't really think you need tune-ups. You just beat Staniosis to hell in that unification and reminded us who you still are. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I don't like it. Dude, Christian, I don't even know. Is this Christian Ghislaine Maxwell? Never heard of this guy. He's on fire today. You're right. The cover of Tattoo You by the Stones also sucks. Great call. The LP is great. The cover sucks. Whereas Stones have some cool covers, right? Exile on Main Street's a wild cover, but I love it. Sticky Fingers, one of the best covers of all time, really. And I have my dad's copy that I used to look at as a kid, and he'd always be like, don't play with the zipper. Of course I would, but I got that one now. It's great. And then Some Girls, 1978 is a great album cover, and you can like play with it like you can play with Led Zeppelin 3. Another great album cover because it's got that pinwheel on the inside that you can spin. Yeah. All right, where else were we? We were talking about Boots, weren't we? Brody, Boots is just after vacant titles and money. Fundora will give him that work. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Is this Eddie's fault? Is it Boots' fault? Is it Boots' handler's fault? I don't know what's going on right now, but I don't like it because I love Boots. And because he was a Showtime guy, I interviewed him a million times, and I felt like he wanted the smoke. I felt like he wanted to get out of the lot that he was in where the big names wouldn't fight him. Damn, man. Damn the man. Steven, I think Boots gets beat by some top 54s. Zayas footwork gives him trouble. I mean, I still think Boots is the good, so I still need to see him struggle badly in a fight like you're picking. But is he going to get those fights? You don't need two tune-ups unless you're going to fight like, 2 or 3 times in 6 months. Then, okay, take your tune-ups. Let's go. But this is a featured main event fight, and no one wants to see it. Jackson Black, take that back. All the Stones covers do not stink. Okay? Let It Bleed, Bedeker's Banquet. No. Aftermath, or I'm not Aftermath. Between the Buttons is one of my favorite covers. It's almost copying a Beatles cover. No, I could do without. Okay, yeah, Joel. You know what cover I hate? 1967 Rolling Stones, His Satanic Majesty's Request. That cover sucks. Why don't you just scream that we're copying Sgt. Pepper's from the music style to the damn album cover? No, that cover sucks. You're right. That sucks. Let's not act like No. I mean, Goat's Head Soup is weird. I like that cover. It's Only Rock and Roll's a very good cover. All right, Back in Blue, that cover sucks. There are 80s and 90s covers I don't love, like Steel Wheels. Okay, all right. They're not perfect, but let's not get absolute here, all right? Don't do it. Dude, Black, don't do it, bro. They're very iconic. Don't do it. Black also saying, Jackson Black saying every Beatles album cover is iconic. In a lot of ways, they are. In a lot of ways. I don't love Magical Mystery Tour's cover, but I have issues with that album. But yeah, they're all, yeah, you're right. They're all freaking iconic. They really are. Dead covers are either really good or really bad too. That's another good point right there. Exile on Main Street's creepy, but I think it especially when you know the story of where they were mentally and physically during that recording of that, on the run from tax evasion in France, addicted to heroin, recording in the basement of a French mansion that they were renting with trucks outside and long wires connecting to record in like 110-degree weather with Graham Parsons sitting there teaching Keith country rock. I mean, yeah, it's wild. Good call. Underrated. The Miracle by Queen is a bad album cover. And Queen was a little hit or miss too. I'm gonna say that as well. There you go. Snoop's first album, very iconic. The Dogfather, is that what we're calling that? Brody, BC, have you ever visited the Abbey Road Crosswalk? That would be cool to see in person. It would be awesome. Do I regret not going So the time I went with MK to London, we had 0 time. We had like a 3-hour window on one of those days to see the sights. And Luke and I saw you never saw that footage because that documentary never got made, but Luke and I saw Big Ben and a couple things very quickly to Trafalgar Square. When I went on vacation with my family, however, I saw a lot more on London, but I knew I really couldn't sort of hijack that trip and get all of my music stop wants. I purposely didn't do it because what I really want to do is go to London again and almost build the trip around Beatles related stops. So no, I didn't go to Abbey Road. I didn't do the iconic photo, but when I got married at the end of the street that I was living at when I was engaged and we had an apartment in New Britain, Connecticut, there was a crosswalk that looked like Abbey Road. And I had my entire wedding party and the photographer, we parked and we did the Abbey Road cover shots of us men walking across. And one of them had barefoot to try to keep up with that image. That was cool. The only thing I forced my family to do music related wise was I was like, we got to go to Hyde Park. And I forced it for the music history, for the fact that Blind Faith's first concert was there, for the fact that Mick Taylor's first concert as a Rolling Stone after they hadn't toured in almost 2 years was a free concert there. I found the location where those concerts were done, and then also Hyde Park rules. So that was a great trip right there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Average Joe, 100% written notes on how to make an MK Snoop doggy style cover homage. Sounds weird, but you get it. I get it. Average Joe gets us. He really does. That guy, he's an animal whisperer too. What a gentleman that fella is. All right. That was a great question, Joe. Thank you. Let's go over to Dustin Kilburn. Can't we just kill him? We got to burn him too, dude. Thank you for supporting this chat. No question from me. Got a rare weekday off, rewatching Minority Report, and just excited for a good pay-per-view fight week. Give Reggie my regards. Thank you. So Reggie's been doing this doing this weird cough again lately. The same cough that led to that dental surgery and then the pneumonia, and then he almost died. And good Lord. And then when they tried to do the surgery to save him, they needed 3 times the amount of anesthesia. They had to wait like 6 hours for him to finally go out because that dude's just fighting. The whole vet staff, when we picked him up, were like, we have never seen a demon like this. And they're like, he's a good demon. He's fun. He's a fun drunk, but they're like, he's out of friggin' control. And then my wife was like, you're going to have to call the vet and set this up. Why? Because the rest of the family's, my son Chris gives Reggie a little time. Most of the family's done with Reggie, but I hope this cough, let's say a little prayer for Reggie. All right. All right. We need this guy to keep fighting. I need him. I need him in my life. This is my guy. All right. He's a handful. He's a problem. He's a problem. Okay. But that's my problem. All right. And by extension, I guess yours. There you go. Great call by Pix Marshmallows. The cover album of I always forget, how do you actually pronounce that? Literalis? Did I butcher that? But yes, that is very creative. I do like the 2 album covers in general in that regard. So very well done right there. There you go. Danger Mouse, my UK brethren. We've made up here. Shout out to the JBR. If you're coming to for a Beatles tour, you need to be in Liverpool, not London. I almost said that out loud. Like, obviously, it's not all going to be in London. There's going to be some. But you're right. Liverpool, where the Beatles were started there. Back in the day when we had that Showtime budget, we could probably be like, what? Let's go out there for an MK Doc Beatles tour and hire Danger Mouse to be our guide. You know what I mean? I guess I'm going to have to hire him personally. Maybe we'll make up in person. There we go. Brody Moret. The album cover with a 13-year-old girl on it is JoJo. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, you will be here all night. Wow. And thank you. Thank you for the prayers. Big for that. Where's my shoes? Thank you. Where's my cat? Thank you. Kevin G. Lateralis. There we go. Cosmo K. Have you ever been to the Newport Folk Festival? No, but I obviously want to for the iconic history that's been at there, not just Bob Dylan plugging in. I would love to go to that. And then obviously tied into that is the fact that Newport is one of my favorite places to visit. Newport, Rhode Island rules. I love the history, the old, colonial history. I love the ocean, the cliff walk, the mansions. We took my kids on a college visit to Salve Regina a couple months ago, and they hated it, but I loved it because all the classrooms are in like old Victorian mansions. Newport rules. I'll make it there one day for that. Oh yeah. Devin, tuck that shit in, Dev. All right, please do it. Okay. Would you have Guru or Lucas Tracy on here? Who's Lucas Tracy? Am I supposed to know who that is? I mean, are you talking about Guru from Gangstar? Yeah, right. Or MMA. Oh, you're talking about MMA Guru. Sorry. Who's Lucas Tracy? Is this an MMA guy? Lucas Tracy MMA. Oh yeah, I have actually heard of that guy. I thought you were talking about a rapper or musician right there. I don't actually know much about Lucas Tracy. I have heard of him. So no. MMA Guru. No. I mean, I don't know. I like that he came in and supported me that time and super chatted me and whatever. So shout out to that guy. I don't hate that guy by any means. I have respect for the success he's had and the hard work he's done for sure. God, yes, of course. As I've commented before, he's extra abrasive at times in certain categories for sure. But I don't know. I never say never. If it was right, if it was right and it made sense, maybe. All right. Yep, we love that one too. Thank you. Okay, let's go back to unadapted. Legally, could you interview any boxing referees? And if so, have you reached out to referee Ray Corona? He just got licensed in Nevada, and it would be interesting to hear about the process. So tell me if I'm wrong. Doesn't Ray Corona have a boxing podcast as well that he recently launched? And it actually looks kind of cool. I've been at fights where Ray's there. I don't know him personally, never met him. I would like to have that on. I just know that I'm friends with Glenn Feldman, the boxing judge who lives in my town. And we started talking because I reached out to him back in like 2011 because I wanted to write a story kind of about judging. And I was like, oh, we live in the same town. Let's do it. And he told me something that was like, makes sense. He was like, we really don't do stuff like that because, we try to stay out of the headlines. We don't want to talk about a fight or something and then have people think that have these certain opinions about fighters. And I respect that. And the commission doesn't necessarily like that. Referees are a little different. And I think you can certainly have a referee or judge on to talk about a specific thing that they did in a recent fight if it made sense. I mean, I did have Glenn Feldman on ESPN's Making the Rounds right after Mayweather Pacquiao, because that was such a big assignment. And it was kind of cool to get that inside story from him when Jim Baskell and I interviewed him about like the pressure and what he was looking for in that fight to make sure. And at that point, the biggest fight ever, I guess, in terms of pay-per-view sales for sure, and still is, that it all went well. And I thought his score actually was really well. I would be interested in doing it, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I naturally respect the distance they try to show to doing too much media or media in general. I did interview Tony Weeks for the anniversary for Showtime's YouTube channel about 5-6 years ago for the Corrales Castillo anniversary. And it was great. It was a very good interview. I believe you can even still find that on YouTube. But Ray Corona seems to have a good personality and seems to be a nice guy. So shout out to him. Chinchilla interview Joe Cortez and ask why he was neither firm nor fair. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Cosmo, thoughts on the MMA community criticism of Eric Nixick and the Dolidze fight, unfair or justified? I mean, look, that's a big fight, and that's a big fight for Dolidze, and we know this sport that you could lose. I mean, look at Ian Gary versus Carlos Prates, just for example. Ian Gary makes Carlos Prates look like he shouldn't be in the cage with him for 3 rounds or 3.5 rounds or whatever that was. And then Prates rallies back, and then it's almost like there's a window that he's going to stop him. And you're like, well, what if they stopped that earlier? Now, no one was calling for them to stop that at that point, but I'm using that as a template to say maybe he saw something in Dolidze when, maybe Dolidze is only 1 or 2 punches away from turning that fight around. And that is probably at his age, given his 3-fight win streak, given that he's fighting a guy who's streaking huge. That's his Super Bowl. That's his title fight. It's the same argument we had of should the Calvin Kattar fight against Max been stopped when Kattar took just repeated punishment out of like record-breaking punishment. I remember the argument at the time, and I didn't fully disagree, was like, that's his chance to crash the big picture, the big party at his age, considering his career. Now, this fight in particular, Dolidze was just straight getting beat up, and it was obvious he was gassed out. So yes, it could have been stopped. You could make the argument even it should have been. And I know now Twitter is like, Eric Nixick, worst coach in the game, when like fickleness of just like a year ago, we're like maybe the best coach in the game. And that's what happens. I've seen that happen a million times in boxing when it's Freddie Roach or it's Virgil Hunter or it's whoever is the hot trainer of the moment. Suddenly their stable goes from 2 or 3 big names to 7 or 8, and they're tasked with resurrecting all these guys while trying to balance all of it. You're not going to resurrect every guy. Not every guy is going to be better with you. Like there's a lot of things that go into that. I think I saw a snippet of Eric Nixick's podcast that he does with Snapchat Randy, my guy over there. Shout out to Randy, formerly of UFC Social, where I think Eric kind of addressed this, that like they're kind of turning on him publicly right now. I didn't really hear his full explanation. I'd be interested in doing it. I don't know if he regrets not doing it earlier or what have you, but it's a walk, it's a dance. I criticize like the Rocky Pennington situation against Nunes. In that case, like she was well past it and taking huge punishment and doesn't have like the power Dolidze has or a history of coming back in that situation. She asked out of the fight. I think she should have been allowed to get out of the fight. But I do like Eric, friend of the program. I'm not against, criticizing if I felt like he should have stopped it. It was entering that conversation. You can argue we were in that conversation. I would have liked if he probably stopped it in all reality before the start of the 4th, but he is the coach. He knows his fighter, and it's really tough. Do you want to be safer than not? Yes. Do you want to be, early rather than late? Yes. Whether you're a referee stopping the fight or a coach. His guy did get beat up really bad. So I get the criticism. It's a tough spot. It's a really tough spot to be in. It really is. I would have preferred he stopped it earlier. That's my opinion. I would have preferred that in hindsight, but I don't know if this is as egregious as the reaction was, in my opinion. All right. I mean, I get the other side of it. He failed to lead. I mean, you could say that. But as Nick will also say, Nixick is smart. Maybe you're saying he's smart, so he should have stopped that. His guy could have got hurt. His guy could have got hurt big time. Yeah. It's It's tough. It really is. Brody, I was just listening to the Smiths. Now I'm watching Campbell's Rambles. It's a great day. I never got into the Smiths or Morrissey. That is a genre that I've really either stayed away from or felt like I didn't love, but now I'm trying to get more into that era, that time frame. But no, not yet. Will it happen? I don't know. But I respect this, I respect the game, so to speak. Okay. I mean, I knew a lot of huge Cure fans in the 80s and 90s, like a couple hits, but no, it's not my thing. RW. If you could only listen to 70s or 90s music for the rest of your life, great question. Which would you pick and why? I would pick the 1970s. I didn't even know when I thought I was the biggest music fan in the world in my 20s, how good the 1970s actually were. It's really my vinyl journey, since the pandemic that has gotten that for me. And it was getting into not just jazz, but jazz fusion, which dominated the 70s, as obviously did the classic rock of, Zeppelin and the Stones and all that. The Beatles solo albums, there was crossovers with funk. There was, you had a strong singer-songwriter presence, the emergence of the California music sound in the early 70s of, like the Eagles and Jackson Browne and stuff like that. Country rock was hot in the early 70s. I think the late 70s have a lot more going against it than they do great, from disco to corporate rock to a lot of things. But in general, as much as I love 90s music, and I do, the 70s is deeper, better, more legendary. Would I pick that over the 60s? Sometimes I would, even though I have just a profound love for 1960s music. But the problem with that is, like, a lot of that is really 1965 to 1969, right? It's not that I don't love, as rock was maturing out of its infancy in the early 60s. There's a lot of great things going on from 60 to 65, but that decade, my real heart is in the second half of it. Whereas the 70s, I mean, I certainly can go deep into the 70s, and I mean, the late 70s birthed, AC/DC, Van Halen. I mean, it's not all suck going on there, right? But the 80s kind of sucked in a lot of ways, even though there's great bright moments. So this late 70s was the entry point into there. But I'll still take from 70 to 77, aggressively. I mean, the 1970 to like 1974 is like undefeated. I mean, it's so good. But yeah, I'm taking the 70s. Thank you, RW. You made me really think about that. Thank you. Not a lot of Smiths fans in here. I mean, I'm not, I'm saying I respect the reputation of the volume of the impact, but I'm not saying I necessarily love. Ham sandwich is like, yo, that's ass, bro. Okay. That's ass. Lord of the Pie saying, yo, BC, you're just talking about nostalgia here. No, I'm talking about great music, bro. All right. I really am. Let's hear from Lazy Bed. Thank you for your support, brother. I really mean that. Picture it. It's a fall Saturday in 26. NCAA football is just wrapping. The CBS Sports theme hits as we fade into a UFC fight night. Sign me the F up. Yes. Yes. Now, if it's a fight night, it's going to be on Paramount Plus. But yes, I get what you're saying right there. The one thing I still don't have an answer to, and everyone's like, well, Shapiro and Ari are saying pay-per-view's dead and we're going to simulcast all numbered events on CBS. And then Dana's kind of saying something different. I think Dana just misspoke. I think maybe, he didn't get the info that he needed, that this all happened so fast. I do know that Dana was in Florida when the news broke. He was moving his daughter into college. But like, I mean, that doesn't mean Dana's wrong. It doesn't mean that they couldn't go to pay-per-view for something massive, but he seems to have corrected that in the most recent interview, saying that the White House thing is not only going to happen, but it's going to happen live on CBS. The question I have that I don't think has been fully answered yet is it going to be the full card simulcast live on CBS for the numbered events, the pay-per-views, the PLEs, whatever you want to call them, or will it just be the early prelims and prelims? And then when you get to the cutoff time of local news, you go, okay, now tune to Paramount Plus for the main card. I mean, that could be possible too. Still going to infuse the crossover outreach. And let's not forget, shout out to CBS. They have an MMA history. Kimbo Slice, Elite XC, Strikeforce. Like, they have an absolute legit MMA history. Even Fedor Baydor Part 2 live on CBS. That was not nothing that night. You know what I mean? I know it wasn't like the best fight ever, and we kind of knew it was going to happen, but like the build up to it kind of felt nostalgically fun. You know, there were big names there. I remember going to CBS Sports Studio in Stamford and going live right when that ended. And that was a fun time. CBS and MMA do have a long-standing relationship. Paramount, which, you know, the Paramount Network, formerly Spike TV, was a monster part, obviously, of the UFC's rise. So there is synergy here in this reunion of sorts. There we go. 2 Changs, not 3, 2 of them. Okay. Testes, 1, 2 Changs. True or false? Boots is the most mismanaged elite fighter in combat sports. Yeah. Oh God. Ellerby told me that 2 years ago, and I think I can't defend it. I don't know about the most, but first of all, 2 Changs, thank you for supporting this podcast. But and you do somehow have this friendship with Ellerby where you just show up and you guys go hard in the paint. But yeah, it's mismanaged in totality. It's mismanaged, and it's a shame to see because I like Jaron Ennis as a young man. I love his game. It's not over, but this has not been awesome. Okay, thank you. Average Joe, BC's a real one. Thank you, brother. Rambling right now, hopping on with Submission Radio shortly after, and heading to NYC for MK tomorrow. Don't forget tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, CBS Sports HQ live. UFC 319 storylines. Yeah, busy times, but busy times is when I thrive. And we've had a lot of non-busy times lately. So I'd rather work hard than not at all or be worried about my job security, right? Let's go hard. Let's go hard in the paint. Let's paint the town. Right? It's red panty night in the BC house. All right. All right. There it is. There it is. People debating music in here. I like that. Cosmo, great question here. Would you rather attend Woodstock 69 Hendrix or AC/DC Metallica in Moscow? Now, respect to the latter, of course. Woodstock, as I've said here a lot, it was a monster part of my dad's life. He bought the 3-record set right when it came out. He had to save up like extra money on his paper route to do it. That was in a lot of the way outside, as much as the Jimi Hendrix Experience debut album and the song Purple Haze was a monster gateway drug turning point for me to shed my love of 60s oldies and 90s rap behind in 7th grade to begin this classic rock journey of the late 60s that I'm in some ways, still doing. Woodstock was such a center point of that. My dad would tell me this story about him and my mom went to see the movie on opening night when that film came out. And that, the Woodstock documentary movie is fantastic. It's great. I've watched that so many times. It's ridiculous. So not only would I have loved to have been at Woodstock, well, I say that, but like, I also don't know if I would have been like sleeping on, love sleeping under a tree high on acid with all naked people running around frolicking. I mean, there was also problems there at Woodstock, but the whole idea of anytime a friend's dad had been to Woodstock, I would jump on that like a fly on ish and ask too many questions. So the Hendrix performance is so legendary, means so much to me. It was the morning after the festival should have ended because of all the delays and the rain and the things that were going on. And the fact that Hendrix only played to such a small crowd compared to the throngs of masses that were there is amazing. And I used to tell that story that I don't even believe anymore, but the wives tell you used to hear that Hendrix thought he was playing a set later, so he put LSD tabs under his headband, and then they tapped him. They're like, "No, we need you to go on now." That's not even true, but it fits perfectly in the lore and the legend. Yeah, I'm going to Woodstock 69. There are just some, if you don't know the movie or if you haven't listened to the soundtrack or you don't know the epic performances that came from there, not all of it was epic. The Grateful Dead purposely made sure that their performance never made it on an album or the movie because supposedly it was awful. There was a few big name acts who just didn't have great performances there. And it was a challenging setup in so many ways too, not just getting there, but everything they dealt with, with the masses of crowds ripping down the fence and the shortage of food and all of that. I mean, in some ways they're lucky it wasn't a massive riot. It wasn't an Itauma, like a year later or whatever. But when you look back, and you're talking about some of those performances, whether it's Hendrix, the Star Spangled Banner, and also Voodoo Child, which is a virtuoso performance of that. When you're talking about Alvin Lee and 10 Years After I'm Coming Home, whether you're talking about Santana's instrumental performance of Soul Sacrifice, which to this day gives me goosebumps, of 19-year-old Michael Shreve on the drums on this mini kit, basic kit, just going sick. When you're talking about Probably the best performance. Even better than Hendrix' Star Spangled Banner at Woodstock 69. Joe Cocker's epic With a Little Help from My Friends cover, which is the defining version of that. Yes, there's a studio version of it on the album with the same name, which was his debut album, by the way. And his first two albums, if you don't have Joe Cocker's first two albums, With a Little Help from My Friends and Joe Cocker, get it right freaking now. Obviously the album version is the one that played at the beginning of Wonder Years. That is a tour de force on a level that it's just not comparable. And I remember being in 7th grade watching that, being like, that's the most emotion. And, of course, Joe's dancing was out of control. It looked like he had main issues and was drugging out and was going nuts. But that's what he did. He got so into it. It's the most emotional, he poured his entire self into that performance. But there's so many other great ones. Country Joe McDonald, doing the I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die Rag anti-war Vietnam song was fantastic. Canned Heat was great on that one, of course, doing a couple of their biggest hits right there. Yeah, I love me some Woodstock 69. Crosby, Stills, and Nash played their second ever show at Woodstock 69. The Wooden Ships performance was amazing. How about The Who? The Who kicked a lot of ass with their cover of Summertime Blues, with the songs from the Tommy soundtrack that they played. Damn. All right. Yes. The Grease Band and myself. Thank you all so very much for being here. Here we are. Beautiful. John Sebastian of the Love and Spoonful played a solo set with his version of the Love and Spoonful's what's the name of that song? That incredible song about raising your child. You got amazing. So was everything Joe Cocker did. I finally found there's a full album of Joe Cocker's entire performance from that, and start to finish, it's epic. Start to finish. Amazing. All right. Santana, amazing on that. Amazing. Thank you. Do you care? Am I the only one that cares? I don't know. All right, we gotta get in speed mode here. We gotta wind this down. Great stuff today, folks. Appreciate that. Max Martinez is back. Maximiliano, dude, thank you. You're awesome. I'm starting collecting UFC Topps cards, and I got a Charles Air Jourdain signed card. Wow! But the pics from a fight he lost. Would it bother you to sign a bunch of cards from a fight you lost? It's a good question. Maybe I'm too close to having just watched the Facing Nolan documentary again, where they put in big letters, Robin Ventura denied our entry to be part of this documentary. How many times have people tried to come up to Robin Ventura and be like, hey, could you sign this picture of Nolan Ryan kicking your ass? Maybe that's a little too extreme in the other direction. As long as it's not like I saw a video once of Rashad Evans. My man was at a signing at like a UFC fan thing, and somebody brought up the picture of him, when he got KO'd by Machida and his eyes are rolling back in his head. Like, yeah, you don't do that to somebody. But as long as it's not you getting KO'd and finished, I think it's fine. That's cool that you got that card. I know there's finally some boxing cards coming back from Topps for the first time in a long time. And I think that's pretty awesome. I got back into cards when my kids were small, when they were really into WWE trading cards, and that was fun to do with them. I brought out all my old binders and cards and traded back and forth with them, my old NBA cards from the 90s. Yeah, it's such a nostalgic piece of our youth in many ways. So cool that UFC is making those cards just the same. I ended up going to Ken. If you're ever in Connecticut, Berlin, Connecticut, Ken's Cards is a phenomenal card store and memorabilia store to go to. I was picking up dollar WCW cards from the 90s, dollar packs. I was picking up Alf packs, Saved by the Bell. They had all this wacky stuff in there. Love that stuff. Thank you. Nick's got a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson card signed. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome. Brody, the boxing cards from Topps was all sold out. Wow. That's interesting to hear. Okay. And you're right, 2 Chains. Good reference here. If you wanted an Ali and Frazier autograph on the same thing, you had to get Frazier to sign first because he would sign over Ali's name. That's why, man, they kept that grudge for a long ass time. Hell yeah, BC ripping Elf packs. That's it. It was pretty epic. I had a lot of fun with that. I still have a couple unopened WCW packs. Once my kids got out of it, I found them in the drawer the other day, and I'm like, I got to do something with that one of these days. And it's like early 90s WCW 2 when what's his name from UWF was the booker. and they kind of made it, they try to make it old school there. What's his name? You know the guy I'm talking about. Watts, Cowboy Bill Watts. All right. Saul, dude, Saul's my guy from Louisville. Thank you, Saul. Always thank you. Okay. Have you listened to Gerdo Alacranis' newest single, Daddy's Number? It's Savage Fire. I have not, but I'm going to check it out. You know this, and you know this, man. Okay. I don't even know what kind of music you're talking about here. Daddy's Number? Daddy's Number. Wait. That's Daddy's Number 66. Puig, is that where you're going with this? Did you just walk me into this, or is this a real thing? But fantastic job. Daddy's Number. Okay. That's Daddy's Number. Great stuff. Wow. This guy Schaub's out of control lately, right? Makano. Good Lord. All right. Is that a real thing? Let me see. All right. That is a real thing. Okay. It shows how cool I am, right? I don't know shit. All right. Yeah. I'm going to look that up. All right. Saul knows things. Saul knows some shit. All right. Where's my shoes? Where are we? Where are they? Thank you for your support as well. Just like Saul. Do you think rounds will cut to 10 across the board now that Japan, our hair's looking fresh, by the way? Matey. Oh, thank you for that hair reference. Thank you. So yeah, I didn't reference this, but the two guys on the same card in Japan died. Damn it. Will they go to 10 across the board? No, they'll probably still do 12. The move from 15 to 12 after the Dooku Kim Ray Mancini situation was understandable. Look, if it's a title fight, you kind of need 12, in my opinion. I just think this is boxing. And, whenever there's a death, we sometimes debate how much we should change the rules on things. And it always comes down to, I remember, Eric Raskin and Bill Detloff, who had the fantastic Ring Theory podcast behind that paywall for years, is the best. It influenced me as a podcaster. It was one of my favorite podcasts of all time. They used to always say, like, if you change it too much, it's not boxing anymore. This is what we sign up for. And it's tough. I always say we don't know how to deal with deaths in the sport. We don't know how to talk about it. We move on. It's really super sad. But no, I don't think they'll change. I don't necessarily know if they should. It's an unfortunate. It's tough. It's tough. I don't know. I wish I had better answers. Two Changs. There were some really bad 15 rounders that led to the change. Dooku Kim and the Tex Cobb versus Holmes were the two main ones. Yes. Remember when Shannon Briggs got beat to shit over 12 rounds by Vitaly Klitschko? I remember thinking this could be really, really bad. And he was in the hospital for a long ass time after there. It happens. I mean, I would rather, when a fight's completely one-sided, it's, I guess, goes back to that Delize argument with Eric Nixick. I'd always want to end it earlier, but you do have to take the situation into account. And then sometimes there's the fights that you don't necessarily think someone's going to have a massive head injury, and then they do. Everyone's different. Your brain's not made to do this. It's almost worse when two fighters don't have knockout ability, and then you're just constantly rattling the brain. Again, it's either boxing or it's not. I don't know how much more safety wise you can clean that up. And I hate using that as a justification. If you change it anymore, it's not boxing, but it's also true though. Damn it. All right, back to Cosmo Craner, who's on fire today too. You got to shout out this guy K. I hope his middle name doesn't begin with a K as well. Biggest boxing fight for Ngannou that he can win. Wilder. Jake Paul. I mean, dude, I would love if like Jake Paul. All right. I know Jake Paul's trying to chase AJ right now, for better or worse. It seems worse. Is it a money grab? Like, you're going to get hurt. Okay. I would love if Jake Paul was like, unless he's going to really fight a cruiserweight champion tomorrow and go for it and go all in, then stop teasing us. You know what I mean? Like, you're not at that level. So fight someone in this realm of celebrity crossover, which Francis Ngannou is. He overachieved against Fury. The market got corrected against Joshua. I would love if Jake Paul said, all right, I'm going to take on a fight you guys think I can't win. I'm going to show you I'm a better boxer than Francis. I'm going to withstand his power. I'm going to avoid it. And I'm going to go the distance and beat this guy, if not knock him out. Imagine if Jake does that and he wins, we'd give him a shit ton of respect. I wish that would be the chance he would take, because I feel like that fight could move product. I do. I really do. All right. Man, my phone is blowing up. Blowing up. We good here? What's going on? Oh, State Senator Paul Honing. No, don't call me. Don't call me. I don't even know what side you're on. Don't call me, all right? Stop spamming me. All right. Dave R. 18, the pirate, Dave the pirate. Thank you, Dave, for visiting here. Thoughts on a Gervonta versus Topuria boxing match? Maymack light. Gervonta probably going to cash out sooner than later. So Gervonta Davis, if you missed it, the charges were dropped against him by the mother of his children for the most recent domestic violence thing that had the potential as a second offender in Florida to really F him. And people were saying, you know, has a very good chance of doing jail time. I don't know what the right situation here with those charges being dropped. I mean, Gervonta's got himself in a lot of trouble consistently, unfortunately. I like Gervonta, but this is rough. Could this open the door for him to come back and come back soon? And could PBC need that? I mean, yes, and yes, to be fair, for better or worse. I want to see him against Roach a second time. I do not want to see him against Jake Paul. I wouldn't hate it if he fought Manny Pacquiao or fought Shakur Stevenson, which is probably the best case scenario. I don't need this Maymack crossover. I mean, Maymack was so unique, so perfect, the absolute perfect storm. Did it play a big role along with the Paul brothers coming in and Roy Jones and Mike Tyson coming out of retirement? Like, it all happened at once to create the celebrity crossover bubble that I thought would probably in the last 2 years, right? With Triller involved. And now it's kind of still going. And, you know, shout out to Jake for what he's done to draw attention and be consistent in this regard. But no, I don't want this. And that's the one thing I'll say I really respect about Dana White and his move into boxing. He has never once wanted these crossover ones. He has wanted to do boxing the legit way. Now, we'll see what that looks like. I don't know what's going to happen with this Ali act. You know, I got questions. There's a lot of things I got questions about. But the fact that he's not just looking to take his biggest MMA star and match him with a boxer and let's just sell pay-per-views. You know, like I'm sick of that. So no, I don't want this. I don't want this, Dave. I know Topuria thinks he's going to fight the winner of Canelo Crawford. I really think somebody would have to get McGregor level of fame all over again. And Topuria has potential to be the biggest star since McGregor, but he's also not there yet. I mean, the CBS deal could help a lot. If he fights Makhachev and wins, it could help a lot. If he blows away these lightweights of name, it could help a lot. But no. I hope that Gervonta looks at this as he dodged a bullet in some ways. The dude's got to clean up his personal life. We can't defend him anymore. We can't. But I want to see him, for as long as he wants to still fight, finish out the unfinished business in his division with the big names. I think Roach deserves a second chance. I think Shakur fight needs to happen. Ryan Garcia part 2 if you have to. Haney, like, let's go. None of this stuff. No, I don't want it. I'm sorry, Dave, but thank you for your question. Dave the pirate. Arr. Okay, enough of that. BMAC 1990, great year. I was alive. I was alive and I'm waiting. Right here, right now. I was 12 years old in 1990. Shout it out. That was 6th grade. Yeah. Rewatch Chimaev Burns. Gilbert definitely exceeded expectations and made it a dogfight. But look back again and it's clear rounds 1 and 3 bores. Did I just miss when he became Boar's Head? I mean, it's not like I haven't heard it before, but I feel like this week everyone's using it as if it's part of the lexicon on a regular basis. Am I the outlier in this? Did I miss this? So I've seen just as many people tweet this week, and I have not rewatched the fight in a long time. I watched it live. I watched it a second time. I thought Gilbert won both times. I do like your experiment. I will watch this on the train tomorrow morning to further inform my analysis for tomorrow's pregame preview with Matt Fravola. But I've seen just as many people on Twitter say definitely 2 and 3 to Gilbert. So I'll take your recommendation. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your supporting this chat. Yeah, I do need to watch it another time because I've been throwing it out there as if it's fact that, hey, I think Gilbert won that because I did watch it twice and thought he won it. But let me go back and see. Shout out to Gilbert. Maybe that's the last time we saw like super elite Gilbert or super tough as shit Gilbert. I mean, this sport takes a toll on you. Gilbert is Brazilian and he's a legend, and these Brazilian legends have long lives in this cage and reinvent themselves. But that maybe was the last time we saw, really, really, really good Gilbert. All right. MMA fanatic. I mean, who isn't? Thank you for your support. What was it that kept Devin Alexander from being elite? Great question. Also, was Khan versus Lamont Peterson in Washington, D.C. with Luke Thomas in the crowd or in the covering it? Was that a robbery? So the latter was a damn robbery in 2012. Very good fight. And I think before that, not all of us really realized that Lamont Peterson is a dog. And maybe we should have from the draw against Victor Ortiz, which in hindsight was a very good action fight that no one talks about, a wild fight. I still thought of Peterson more of a boxer than an aggressive puncher. And at times he can do that. Remember the fight against Danny Garcia, in which he started a little bit too late, but he came on in that second half, and I thought he deserved a draw there. This fight, he took steroids, got caught, and somehow this isn't changed to a no contest. I don't understand that, notwithstanding. There was the whole weirdness with the guy in the black hat at ringside, yes. But in totality here, not only does Khan deserve this L taken off his record because of the steroids, he got screwed on the cards. It was a great fight. It was a Lamont Peterson with a savagery, with a motor that we almost had never seen in him before. Maybe it was the drugs. I don't know. Maybe it was the drugs. Also, Lamont Peterson, a very good fighter historically. But this was some of the last stretches of the really good Khan. I know he would go on to beat Devin Alexander, who's part of the first part of your question in that December 2014 fight that I covered ringside for ESPN on Showtime there. But Khan deserves the win, a very close fight, a very good fight, a high intensity fight. But no, Khan got screwed. And I'm a Khan guy. I respect Amir Khan a lot. I mean, the second half of his career was kind of ridiculous, but I respect that. Devin Alexander. I mean, look, there was windows where Devin Alexander was super elite, heading into the fight against Tim Bradley for 140-pound supremacy. The reinvention at welterweight, right? Got the win. Did he deserve it in St. Louis against Lucas Matisse? It was a controversial scoring. The back-to-back losses Matisse had to Judah and Alexander, you could certainly argue go the other way. Alexander, though, was sort of non-relevant or on his way to being washed way earlier than you kind of thought he would be for a guy that was so quick, had such quick feet, such quick hands, could sit down on his power shots when he needed to. I mean, it wasn't necessarily like his chin betrayed him. There just always seemed to have been something missing. Very good trainer in Kevin Cunningham, but there always just seemed to be. So let me bring up the box rec and retrace this. I mean, he's still only 38, which is insane. So he closed his career, by the way, with a draw against Victor Ortiz in their rematch in 2018. I'm sorry, not their rematch, in their fight in 2018 when they were both after it. That was both secondary market. That was, they were trying to resurrect themselves. And then he had 4 straight defeats to end his career. Split decision, Berto, KO loss to Ivan Redkach. A couple losses, in recent years when he tried to come back. But even before that, there was that stretch when he lost 3 out of 4. He lost that division he lost by decision in that title fight to Sean Porter. He beats Jesus Soto Karass in an action fight, then loses to Amir Khan. Now, he was good in that fight against Amir Khan. I never understood the 119 to 109, 118 to 110, and 120 to 108 scoring in their December aforementioned 2014 bout. But after losing to Tim Bradley at 140, beating Matisse by split decision, he moves up to welterweight. The win over Maidana is absolutely legit. He almost retired Maidana. He reinvented himself at welterweight. He beat Randall Bailey in the first night in Barclays Center history in Brooklyn on their first card there on Showtime in one of the 3 most boring fights I've ever seen from ringside. But he did win. He outboxed the Slugger. It's really hard to actually put a finger on what happened. It wasn't like he got washed and he was getting knocked out too early. There was just something missing, a disconnect. He could carry out game plans up to a certain point, but maybe it was an accumulation of shots taken in some of those big fights that by slowing down just enough, it wasn't enough to get over the top. It's a great question. I don't necessarily know that. Well, look at this. Steven says Devin had a pain meds addiction. I do remember him talking about that at the end of his career and how much maybe that is the thing I'm missing. maybe that created the disconnect where you can get in great shape, but when you have an addiction to something like that, it's going to steal from your game. Very possible. All right, let's keep going here. Great stuff today. Great stuff. All right, great question. More from Max Martinez. Oh, we got that one already. Great question. Hell yeah. Let's go over to Eric Atkinson supporting this pod. Damn right, bro. Thoughts on Oasis reuniting? One of my all-time favorites, says Eric. Seeing them at MetLife at the end of the month. Well, congrats to you on that. That's awesome. And if I don't usually like stadium shows, but that's the kind of stadium show you kind of have to go to. So many nostalgic memories from them. At first, I thought they were too knockoff-ish of the Beatles because they were doing that on purpose. They were aggressively showing you their influence and their heroes and then sort of spinning off of that. I did become a fan. The only problem is I never owned the first two really good albums they had. I knew the radio hits. I knew a couple of the other songs from people playing them. I ended up buying Be Here Now on CD. And even though that's a little, what's the word I'm looking for? There's too much going on there, right? Like the songs are a little bit too long. There's some hits. There's some jams on there. But that was maybe the beginning of when they were losing their fastball, but could still put out a couple really good hits. I really need to just suck it up and go back and really master their early great albums. So I'm not the perfect market to like grab my friends and go out and catch this reunion as much as I'd like to see it. And like, because I never bought in fully, but I know the genius. I know the legend. I mean, look, Don't Look Back in Anger is one of my 3 favorite songs from the 1990s. And even though it's a song we've all heard 5,000 times, it's never worn out to me. It's perfection in so many ways. It reminds me of that time so well. So there's going to come a time when I'm going to stumble in and finally do the full career deep dive. And I bet you I'm going to go why the hell did I never make that extra step? But I love them from what I've, seen, and I got to respect. And I loved the rivalry between them. I loved that Unplugged episode where the one brother didn't show. And then, what was it? Noel had to sing I mean, I get it confused, but great stuff. I hope you enjoy the shit out of that show along with everybody else that in here that's going to their own version of that. All right. As Chinchilla says, Be Here Now was the Oasis cocaine album. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It felt like they were trying to write Hey Jude type songs that went on for 8 minutes over and over again. But are there some of those songs on there that still hit hard when I play? Yeah, I play that album every once in a while. Oh, Joe's back from Run Dem Cheeks. Love that guy. Thank you for your support, brother. How do you store your vinyl collection? So, like if you go to Walmart or whatever, and you can buy those sort of wooden crates that you screw it together and put the pieces. I've got 3 wooden crates on the floor completely filled. And then my wife, who was getting very sick of coming into my office and seeing the entire floor covered in wooden crates, did me a solid and bought me a tower that has 3 separate shelves that hold 200 each. So I've got 600 in the tower, and they're largely my core favorite bands. There's the bottom shelf has Beatles, The Who, Chicago. The second shelf is largely jazz fusion, from Miles Davis to Weather Report to whatever. And then I've got Jimi Hendrix in that stack, Santana as well. The top shelf is some of my, I go Bob Dylan, Joni Mitchell, Crosby, Stills and Nash, all the solo albums from Crosby, Stills and Nash. Then it goes into Traffic, Steve Winwood, Eric Clapton, Derek and the Dominoes. I'm not a big Clapton guy, but like the best Clapton, Blind Faith. And then it keeps on going down across. I'd say that tower is where I pick off of the most. But the problem is, then I acquire more, and then I've got an extra pile that's just there on the floor that my wife's like, what's going to happen? The, air conditioner is going to run, or we're going to get flooded in the basement and you're going to get those ruined. So I got an extra stack of ones I'm probably looking to sell. And then underneath the record player, I've got 2 giant stacks of all the ones I've received in the last 2 years that I haven't yet put back in the order that I want to be. Yeah, I'm going to get nerdy like everybody, like John Cusack in High Fidelity, and reorder them alphabetically one day, and then another time reorder them by genre. It's one of those things where I know exactly where every single one is, but they don't necessarily make a lot of sense the way that they're organized. Like this rack right here, half of it is progressive rock. So I know if it's Genesis time or it's whatever, it's there. But I got another one that's a little bit more like Southern rock. It's like the Allman Brothers and all the spin-off albums there. There's a chunk of Van Morrison. I got one that's just singer-songwriters too, one of those wooden crates. But it almost makes no sense, yet it makes perfect sense to me at the same time. Does that make sense? I don't know. Yeah, my life is a working mess. I have a very organized and clean wife. I'm the abstract dude that's always a step behind, but I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it. David Chung, thank you, sir. Thank you. Can you get Brendan Schaub to MK for an interview? No, probably not. Probably not. I mean, I wouldn't think he would want to. I mean, it's kind of tough. Have I taken fun shots at him over the years when originally it was to play along of the storyline of like, that's Luke's buddy, you know, so I'll take these little fun shots to get Luke, to put Luke in an awkward position. But then has Schaub done enough ridiculous things that sort of like, you can't help, and then his Reddit so funny that you can't help but speaking Shabanese. So I assume the guy probably doesn't like me. I've really got nothing against him. I've met him in person. He's been very nice to me. Do I think he plagiarizes a lot from people? Yeah. Do I think he's done ridiculous things in his journey? Yeah. I'm not cheering for his demise. I hope him and his family are well. I hope his career keeps going well. Shout out to Chin, big Chin guy over here. All right. Not so much a hot chip, but shout out to Chin. But no, he's probably not going to appear on this show anytime soon. Thank you very much. This is Ansa. In an alternate universe, where would gas station bachelor Campbell be in life right now? Probably trying to date washed up UFC female fighters. I don't know. That's what Luke Thomas will tell you as a running joke. If I don't know. I don't think, see how to be single right now, I would have had to have married the wrong person and got divorced. And I think single me would be a sad state. It's, you know, it's always like the motivation of not only do I not want to ever get divorced, like I love my wife. And when I put that ring on, it was for life. And I believe that. And, you know, we get through everything together. You get through it. You freaking get through it. As long as it's the person you feel like you're meant to be, you'll get through it. Right. But, you know, part of the motivation to not let me be the reason things fall apart is I know I would be a sad divorced dad in a one-room efficiency apartment with a waterbed where you can reach the sink from the bed and you got a TV and so basically my office is the sad bachelor pad and then the rest of the house is the family. You know, I think every dad should have that space, whether it's your garage or it's something, you know. Some of my friends' dads had a crate on the basement floor, a cooler with Miller High Lifes, and a radio to listen to the Yankees game. But that was their space. That was their oasis. My office is my oasis. It keeps me sane. I work here, all that. I sleep here if I'm working late or if I'm snoring too much. But if I made it this long I wouldn't have. I when I was in my late 20s, I really, really, really wanted to get married and start a family. And I'm so blessed and happy that I did. And I got 1 year left with my kids at home. And I love it. And this family had a fight. We had a fight. My kids were born premature and sick. We went through hell financially, medically. We all have our stories, right? But when you get somewhere good, when we finally bought our first house, when I finally got paid enough for us to go on, you know, good vacations, when you're finally in a spot where you're like, I think I can put my kids through college. I think I can land this plane, right? That's what it is. It's funny. You know, I'm a spiritual guy. I pray. I believe in Jesus, but I remember there was a time after I kind of had this conversion where I turned back to Christianity in my 20s. And I was just like, God, what do you want me to do? You want me to, you know, preach? You want me to be a youth group leader? You want me to, like, what do you want me to do? And I remember specifically, almost as if I could hear the voice, someone speaking to me. You're going to be a father and you're going to raise those kids up the right way. And that's going to be the most important job of your entire life. And that's what drives me. I want to be great on camera. I want to live out my dreams and call the biggest fights, but, I don't want to be single, gas station bachelor Campbell. All right. So let's not entertain that idea. Okay. Thank you. My wife and I, we're 18 years strong. We're going the distance, brother. Thank you very much. We're going for speed, and including that too. There you go. Thank you. Wow, we are running through this thing. We're putting this to bed. I got to get ready for Submission Radio, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be wild. Kevin G, thank you, brother. Any feels for the 80s classics Spinal Tap and Spaceballs making a return? I'm going to watch both. I've actually watched Spinal Tap once, so it makes no sense. It's one of those things like, BC, how have you only seen that once? I saw it once way back in the day. I kind of need to see it again to see the remake. And yes, I'm interested to see what the Spaceballs remake is because it's been so long and these people are old as shit. But I'm going to be into both. Spaceballs, if you grew up in the 80s, was such an iconic insanely. It was great. You know, the perfect parody of Star Wars. I did try to show it to my wife and kids, and it didn't hold up. And I don't like saying that out loud. It holds up in my nostalgic 80s mind. It didn't hold up. It didn't hold up for them. So, but the 80s part of me is going to see it. I'm going to see them both. Dude, I thought Happy Gilmore 2 was a slam dunk. I thought it was exactly what I needed. And I thought it was going to blow too. So Luke Thomas will tell you it sucks. I don't know how if you're a fan of Sandler and you're a fan of the first one, I don't know how you don't go, that's about as good as it could have been. That was perfect. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah, great question. Great question, bro. All right. Let's get into it. We got a couple more here, and then we're closing up shop. Devin Tuck, thank you, brother. Brandon, what are your thoughts on realtors? I hate the home buying process almost as much as I hate the car buying process. So are you asking me realtors, like realty, like selling houses? I would never want that job. I feel bad for those folks. I remember the first time my wife and I tried to buy a house when we were newlyweds. I don't even know if we had enough money to do it, but we were a little over our head. And this lady who showed us like 17 houses was finally like, "You're not going to buy one, are you?" Like almost like telling us off, like, "You wasted all my time." We're like, "Hey, we're trying to figure this out. We're trying to find the perfect house." They're nice people. I know a lot of realtors, but that's a tough job. But it's a high end turnaround if you can get it done. If you can land that plane, it's pretty damn good, right? But no, I can't sell anything. I can sell myself. That's it. I don't want. I hated being that kid when you're in Little League. They're like, "You got to go sell those candy bars so we can." I don't want to try to make people do something they don't want to do. All right, I'll try to make you buy my merch. Sell that. All right, buy that MK merch. There you go. That's about it. It's the only thing I'm selling. Old man Dave, don't feel bad for realtors. Most get paid big. Okay. All right. That's cool. That's cool. Chang's, I like Gilmore too. Scotty Shuff. He did. Dude, so many people I thought stole the show in that one. God, this is funny. Thank you, Brody. The only thing that can ruin BC's marriage is sister. God, I can't believe that. I can't believe that there are things that I tell my kids stories all the time about how ridiculous my youth was in my ridiculous hometown and just how different it is from their lifestyle. Luckily, right? Luckily now. But like, there's times I tell them things I know they don't believe me that it was true. I can't even believe I've recycled a true story. I can't even believe that Joe the barber, my neighbor, would come up to me, and just be like, "I saw your sister the other day. Oh my God." And he'd like do like the gross sign. He'd be like, "Sister." And I'd be like, "Wow, that's aggressive, neighbor. That is aggressive right there." But this is the 90s. You can really say whatever you wanted. And now we've recycled that joke and made it a real thing here. That's great. But also shout out to the Figueroas, right? Wow. All right. Jay Allen in the house. My guy, Jay. Thank you. What up, BC? For pros, does having Olympic gold in boxing really matter at all or ever did? How much value does the Olympic boxing system still hold? Even though the U.S. boxing system, which is coming back around, which was good, but from 2004, when Andre Ward was still the last male to win an Olympic gold, until really like maybe 2016, because 2016 at least gave us Shakur and it was turning it around. And we had Clarissa Shields on the female side, back-to-back gold medals. But there was a stretch where U.S. boxing on the amateur scene was badly mismanaged. So that was a rough stretch where how much did it matter in that stretch? I don't know. Look, I liked calling fights a lot with my brother, Raul Marquez. I said brother like I'm Turkey. My brother. Raul Marquez, 92 U.S. Olympian, roommate with Oscar De La Hoya, was a favorite to win gold, didn't, but went on to be a world champion. When I announced with him, he always leaned back on, if it's a debate between two guys, always lean back on the amateur. And that really smartened me up. It still does matter. Obviously, if you have that core to fall back on, that core base of fundamentals and experience of what that gives you of going to international tournaments and fighting, not being prepared for who you're going to fight and fighting people from all backgrounds, all styles, and getting in there in 3 rounds and having to try to figure them out. Yeah, I think it still matters. It's not essential though. Look at somebody like Deontay Wilder, who's a special case, found boxing at 19, stumbles into the Olympics, wins a bronze medal. Also, he could punch a hole in your heart, right? But yes, I would think you would want to have it than not. It doesn't mean everybody who wins a gold medal, Zhu Shiming, Luke Campbell, a guy I respect a lot, it doesn't mean they're automatically going to be world champions and be dominant. Some guys' style is too built for the amateur scene. Some guys' style is a pro style as an amateur, and it's never going to fully work. Also, amateur and Olympic boxing was corrupt as shit for years with the scoring systems and, IBA and all that BS. I'd say, Jay, you want it if you can. look at somebody like Shakur Stevenson, look at all of our heroes from Evander Holyfield to Roy Jones, two guys that got robbed out of gold, by the way. Floyd Mayweather, you could also argue he got robbed out of a chance at gold, but like the amateur scene, that system, that foundation does matter more than it doesn't, for sure. I'm glad. I want to see American boxing be great again. So I like that they've been turning things around slowly and doing it the right way again. There were some issues there for a while. All right. I'm closing up shop here. All right. Closing it out. Here we go. Thank you, Telvin. I'm still rambling. Chinchilla, because of your faith, have you ever stopped listening to certain songs and bands? Yes, actually, in fact, aggressively. And I don't know if I was right, but there was a point in the, let's say, I had kind of a born again moment at the end of 2003. I still love music in 2004, 2005, went to festivals and all that, went to Bonnaroo, ACL Fest. There was a point though, right when I got married, and it wasn't, pushed on me. I kind of found it myself where I was so into the faith and into, Christian music, shout out to the Message channel on Sirius XM. I mean, there's something that does to you, that sort of purifies or cleanses you or gets your mindset in the right place. So I think I kind of went all in on that genre, and I kind of said, like, look, I need to just pause, because music isn't just a hobby for me. It becomes my life. It becomes the theme of what I do. There's always 2 to 3 songs playing in my head. People, and I can go up to the cashier at, Stop and Shop, and they can say something, and instantly it spurs a lyric in my head. So there was a stretch there where I not only got away from it for a while, and I even sold my CD collection to be able to pay for my honeymoon, I remember specifically. And because also the digital music explosion had happened, so you didn't necessarily need it. But I had a couple of year stretch where I really didn't listen to any classic rock or mainstream music. And I sort of purposely avoided the more darker stuff. I even watched some documentary stuff on that, sort of like, I don't want to be like, look, I'm not doing like Satanic Panic, but I do understand the power of music and the hold it can have on, I guess you could say, your soul. But I really just mean that music it's such a powerful art form. It induces emotions. It brings back nostalgic memories, good and bad. If you're going to listen to, abortion rock, so to speak, all the time, do you have a high probability of being angry all the time? Yes. Did I listen to much faster, harder music when I was younger and then kind of stopped in my 30s and focused more on being a dad and a husband, all that? Yes. But I think that time off really helped reset my hearing, my ability to hear and understand music. I went from listening to music at a certain surface level to hearing Jimmy, to really being able to hear. I mean, when I stepped into vinyl and got really good headphones for the first time and was like, it was like a revelation. It was like the light bulb went off of, I'm hearing shit I never used to hear on crappy car stereos or on CD players. You know what I mean? It's just like, so I think taking off like 4 or 5 years of living that life allowed me to kind of grow as a person. To this day, I try to be careful because I think there is some art, whether it's music, movies, TV, that, can change your mindset or your emotions negatively if you let it, and I think sometimes we are more vulnerable to that than we realize. Art has power. Media has power. You know what I mean? If you watch whichever way you lean politically, if you watch Fox News, or you watch a certain channel that is all aggressive in this one direction, there's years that I take off even watching the morning news because it can get you agitated. This stuff has power. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, I tried to stop listening to, things built upon satanic themes or stuff like that, but you can certainly argue the impact of that. I think if you're not aware, things can influence trade. Not that you're going to go, necessarily kill somebody or worship Satan. I just mean like, it can induce emotions in a very aggressive way. I mean, how many times do you, as a 90s song, get put on and I'm right back to where I was when that chick broke my heart? You know what I mean? Like it's a powerful art form, and that's why I love it at the end of the day so much. But I try to be careful for my own spiritual walk. No doubt about that. Great question, Chinchilla. All right. Unilax, thank you for your support here with the Canadian Loonies. Appreciate that. BC, you've been taking over more of the lead host role in MK and have been killing it. Thank you. Thank you. How often are you discussing your guys' role on the show? We did make a big change. And I think it was for the better. Not that Luke can't host and not that I can't analyze, right? We come into that show as Luke's the MMA guy, I'm the boxing guy. Our original plan was we sort of alternated. You host this episode, I host this episode. Or sometimes we'd alternate topics if it was a topic where setting up the other guy was better. But I just think we got to a point where, let's be honest, Luke is a way better fight analyst than I am. I may know more boxing than he does, but he's also a very good boxing analyst. I may have times where I can give you a really good breakdown of what happened to fight or what I perceived or the prediction that Gon will wrestle or that Ngannou will wrestle Gon. But like, let's be honest. I think that it probably plays to my strengths more to play point guard, read the ads, and set Luke up first. I think when there's a big UFC fight and a big main event and we open the show with coming to me, that's maybe not the best use of our talents in that. So I think there was in the beginning, I tried to voice that maybe that's a better role for me. We kind of played a 50-50 role for a while. We're still in a 50-50 role in how we set up the show. We sort of alternate 2 shows at a time whose turn it is to make the rundown. We get feedback from each other. We get, we brainstorm on what the show is going to be, but we try to respect if it's your turn to run the show, you'll have the say on what topics and what angles we're taking. We still alternate on that, and I think that's very important. But I think since we officially made the change and we talked about it and Luke was all in on it, I think the show's better when Luke is 75% of the breakdown and I'm 75% of the setup. It just plays to our strengths. And I think my humor, which is just going to be a part of how I do this because it's an extension of my personality, I don't think it works if I'm trying to set up the lead analysis, yet I'm robbing of that analysis by putting in unnecessary jokes. What I'm trying to say is my comedic strength is as a counterpuncher. My comedic strength is you give the analysis, I give you that joke that kind of hits you quick, but then I perfectly transition into where the show's going. To me, this is an art form. I stay up at night thinking about this. Like, to me, it's like, I can't, I've had a guitar forever. I can play 4 chords, but I can't figure out how to actually understand music. Some people just naturally know, like jazz. Calling a fight, hosting a show, podcast, it's like jazz. It's a dance. I feel like I have the ability better to weave and transition. So I think this works better overall. I think I have less moments where people are completely cringed out by me when you're like, man, you ruined that segment by trying to be too BC, right? I think this works out better, and I appreciate the feedback on that. And if it doesn't, we'll change back, right? You know what I mean? And there's times where, anytime Luke wants to take the wheel, he can take it. But I think this is the best of us when we are sort of playing these roles. I think I'm just a natural, more of a host tee-up guy, transition guy, put the exclamation point on it. But there's something special about Luke Thomas. It's why he can have a one-man YouTube channel, whether we're talking about boxing, MMA, pop culture, or politics, and he can build the following that he has. I mean, Luke has an opinion on everything, and that's a brilliant skill to have. And it's a well thought out, detailed opinion. You may not agree with it, but it is a confident, so I'll hell yeah, I'll give him that respect. I admire that out of him in so many ways. He also, by the way, he's hosted a million things, whether we're doing Showtime boxing or anything. All right. We are closing down shop here. Great question, Jackson Black. Why is your chair shaking so much? I have anxiety. I have that tick of shaking my legs, and my wife hates it. And I try not to do it in situations where I'm going to piss off others, like if it's shaking the bench I'm sitting on. But like when I get excited about something and my mind's going wild, one of my legs is going to be shaking. It's sort of it's a tick. It's my anxiety going on. So unfortunately, sometimes I'll watch back a clip of me and this chair is bopping left and right. And it's just that I'm in it, man. I'm in it. I'm not in the cocaine yet, but I'm in it. You know what I'm saying? Telvin, thank you. Favorite Nicktoons, Ren and Stimpy, Rocco's, etc. That was like a little bit past my era, so I didn't get into that. When I babysat my cousins, they were all into that. I watched a little Ren and Stimpy. I liked it. I was more into like Cartoon Network, Space Ghost, Coast to Coast. That was my guy. But I didn't get into Rocco's Modern Life or anything else in that. I matured a little too quickly. My dad let me watch R-rated movies at like age 4, so I feel like I got out of cartoons and that sort of thing maybe earlier than I should have, to be fair. That's the honest truth. And we got 2 more, and then it's it. That's it. Ix? Wanox? Is this one of those Irish things or Gaelic things where like it's, Shirley, but it looks like Charday? I don't know what's going on here. Thank you though, sir. BC, you've been taking over. Oh, that's the question we did. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Great stuff. Finally from Steven. Who would win if Oscar post Floyd fought? That's a great question. Fought Cotto before Margarito. So even though Oscar, he does a lot of, he's my favorite fighter, but he does a lot of shit as promoter and as a retired fighter that is regrettable and obnoxious. And look, it's Oscar, right? But there's been a few times that, the night before a big pay-per-view event in Las Vegas where they have a media dinner and Oscar's there having a couple of drinks and sitting at the table. And I got to I'm a reporter there in that moment, but I'm kind of fanboying out Oscar questions. And I get on with Oscar. I mean, I like him. I like interviewing him. He's a handful. I asked him that with Miguel Cotto sitting next to him. I said, look at you guys. There was a window where you two could have fought as either welterweights or 54s. Like, who was going to win? Now, to be fair, this was the tail end of Cotto's pro career at a time when he was promoted by Oscar, and Oscar he actually humbly went, oh, bro. And he pointed at Miguel, and he was like, but to your point, the Oscar who fought Floyd at 54. See, okay, the problem with this question is I don't think Oscar's getting down to 47 and he could be himself. We learned that with the 36-year-old version of Oscar against Pacquiao. He wasn't training like he should have been. His lifestyle was out of control. If you're going to let me make this at 54, though, it's an interesting fight because the Oscar at 54 who fought Floyd in 07 with Freddie Roach for that one fight in his corner, like, he gave the best of what he could of himself. He didn't have enough to go 12 hard rounds. I think the right hands from Mayweather, along with the fatigue he was feeling, played a role in muting his offense in the second half. But I'll say that Cotto's younger. That was a body punching Cotto still. I think the legs and the volume is going to be enough, but that would have been a great fight between two legends, and I kind of wish it would have happened. That's the show for today. I'm sorry if I didn't get to every question. I appreciate the super chats you guys sent in. A lot of fun, a lot of love for you guys. We went hard, almost 3 hours here. 5:30, I'll be on sub radio. Check me out 7:30 p.m. on CBS Sports HQ. Try to be as honest as possible. How dare you, Patrick Muhammad, try to say if Jimi Hendrix was alive, you'd be doing TikTok covers with. No, he wouldn't have. Stop it. Stop that shit. Okay. Thank you. Peace. We out of here. Right. I mean, we always give you Carol Alt one more time if you're willing. Are you?
Just personal, whatever you want to do to bond. We
So are
may
you
cut
married?
this out later. No. Are you?
Good.
Good.
No.
All right, switch places. You have 11 points. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, that's the end of this stream. BC forever. Thank you for playing. The BCX lives. You guys are the best. Pre-game preview tomorrow, 11 a.m. Matt Frivola. Let's go. Let's go, folks. Okay. Best intro ever. How about the best outro? We out of here.